welcome to the EST Hangout.
This is the EST Hangout, and today's guests are...
Good morning. Welcome to the EST Hangout presented by White Claw Hard Seltzer. The difference is clear. Matt Iwanyk with you here. Joaquin Gage joining us as he does most Thursdays in his beautiful, what Italian club again?
Brunico.
Jersey.
In Italian, they Brunico. But the northern Italy, it's kind of like Quebec. They speak German first.
Really?
Yeah. So Brunek is how it's referred to. But if you're walking through the streets, you'll hear more German than actual Italian. They all speak Italian, but German's kind of their first language, which worked out well when I was there because obviously playing in Germany for the 4 years prior, I could converse. My wife, though, she speaks fluent Italian, so it's that really helps.
The other voice you hear is Marc Majeau from the MCTV Podcast, formerly with us at 1260 MCTV. You can hear it Mondays, Fridays, 7 o'clock on EdmontonSportsTalk.com, on iHeartRadio, on TuneIn, on our audio feed, and also thanks to those watching right now on YouTube. Mark, thanks for coming in.
Always appreciate the invite. Thanks for having me. Mentioned we used to work together. I know Jeff Crushell has been on the Hangout a couple times. I finally brought back a book he lent me 8 years ago. So, Crusher, if you're watching, your book about Ben Johnson is at EST Studios right now. So, I'll finally get it back to you.
He's here in a couple weeks.
Perfect. I'm glad we were finally
we'll
able
pass
to
that
do
off
that.
to him because,
I like that intro, by the way, that you had. It's like Saturday Night Live with the way it was put together. Well done.
That's all YouTube Trev. He's not here right now, but he did all that, and it was like
it's looking awesome.
There's also audio to it, but we can't hear it in here because we don't have set up with speakers.
Can you get a bigger monitor for over there?
We could. There's a few things we need in here that we'll eventually fix. I once at one point had my TV from my office just quickly in here before we had the monitor, and you could turn the volume on there.
Oh,
so
nice.
just getting a TV there would be nice. Then we get the feedback from that. Also, we need a couple TVs in here to watch things.
Yeah.
Especially during the tournament coming up, hey?
There's the tournament coming up. Right now, actually, I think it's right now. Golden Bears volleyball is in Nationals. I think the game starts now, which always sucks for them because they have to head out east and play these early games. But I could be having that on. F1 quali has been on the last 2 weeks.
I watched
an
F1 race for the first time.
Oh, did you?
I did. Yes, we can get into that. We had 2 hours to kill. It was my first time. I thought I'd dabble.
Okay, straight up. There's a lot we have to get through this 2 hours. There's the Yager bobbleheads.
Yes.
There's Aaron Rodgers. Elks ownership. We are going to talk Dune.
Perfect.
We'll talk F1. Just a reminder, the keyword for the EST Flyaway coming up just after 10 o'clock here on the EST Hangout as we are looking to qualify you to send you and a buddy, a wife, whoever, a second person to Las Vegas, all thanks to FlyYEG and the LVCVA. Nonstop flights to over 50 destinations. Your sports trips start with nonstop flights from FlyYEG. Visit flyyeg.com for more information. Got to bring you back a little bit to keywords. Were you there for text keywords, or was it all caller 10?
No, I did a couple text keywords.
Yeah.
So it's hard to believe. I left in 17, which is now 7 years ago. But I think we're still doing text keywords at then. I
think so.
Probably. It's a lot easier than
together.
It's a lot easier than caller 92
10.
or whatever you wanted to take. Yeah.
How does that even work? Caller 92.
Producer lies. Sorry to throw every producer under the bus.
He's going there. We're out of that business. So
No, there'd be a lot of caller 2. Thanks for calling caller 6. Thanks for calling. Statute of limitation is up now.
I would say very likely if it's caller 10. There's a good chance it's caller 10 type thing. Yeah. When you hear caller 900, there's a 1% chance that it's actually caller 900. It's more, you're caller 1, you're caller 10, you're caller 15, you're caller 20, you're caller 32, you're caller 100, you're caller 110, and just work your way up.
That's a lot.
Because, I remember Dusty going, thanks for calling, and going through it real quick at the old place. I was like, wow, you really go through all those numbers. But, yeah.
See, and with 10, I would usually do to caller 10, but I never told people they were caller 8 or 9. I doubled up 6 and 7. I would say you're caller 6, you're caller 6, you're caller 7, you're caller 7. Because I never liked being you're that close to 10.
That's fair.
Dusty would record caller 9. Hey, you're caller 9. You'd always,
I know.
And they'd record and they loved it. They were sick. And then they call caller 10. But yeah, I always called 8, 9, but I never told them they were 8, 9. I told them they were 6, 7.
Smart. You're a better man than me. And,
didn't do
and
color
apparently
10?
Dusty. It really depends.
Okay.
Really depends. And also, when it was happening in the break, there's a lot going on in a commercial break.
Yes.
I don't think the average person really realized at the time.
I will add to, you had drive. Middays is easy. There's not a lot happening in commercial breaks middays. Drive in mornings, there is. So.
With traffic, and I loved my former boss, but was not the most punctual in going to breaks. So
Yes.
you're trying to catch up with everything, and it was a little tricky
Yes.
going to commercial breaks.
Having to read liners coming back.
Oh, yeah.
All sorts of different things. Yeah. It's there was a lot more for you guys. And me, it was just, what song do we need to play next? That's it. And middays was very simple. So if I didn't do it, I was then very lazy. That's the way I would look at that. But
You know, I called into Gregor's show like decades ago when I first quit playing hockey.
as just a caller.
Yeah, as just a caller. And he kind of ripped me apart a little bit. No, it's funny because
Did he tell you how to play goal?
I think I was complaining about the fans because it was during the darkness and they were just all over. And I had just got back from Europe playing where they're so behind you and like they don't shut up the whole game. And I was like, how can they act like this? And Gregor said something, I forget what it was, but he kind of ripped me for being mad at the fans, and then I didn't call in again.
I was actually thinking about the old barn last night and how during the decade of darkness, the players had to walk through a bar to and from the ice.
It was something else.
And then watching last night, of course, the reaction to Connor Brown and how I bet it would have been kind of nice to walk through a bar for that game last night. And now the team is so sheltered, I guess, from the fans at Rogers Place. But yeah, just thinking about how kind of archaic it was to have them walk past 200 drunk dudes.
It was bad sometimes.
Yeah, it was really bad.
Like, we'd have to stand there as media waiting to go in the room, and just the amount of booing and stuff you'd have to deal with at times coming back. Like, jeez, how was that allowed? Like, and it was just that little rope that comes across.
And no security. Like,
people could have rushed if they really wanted to.
Like, I was always worried about certain people because you could see if the game was going bad and the amount of drinking just kept going and going. And those Rexall beers, I heard someone say that cleans the lines that the route is so long that they can't push the bacteria killer far enough in it. They have to go from both ends, but still there's a section that it's just festering, and that was the reason for the hangovers, the extra bacteria in those things. But they added, I think they popped up the alcohol content to at least 2 or 3% in those bad boys. Those were awful.
But also great for a lot of people. For people that
they got you there quick.
I think those lines are the reason that building is still upright right now. Like, it's just concrete, just rode it into the ground there.
Maybe somebody said this week, I can't remember who it was, that there's things underneath like transformers and stuff, and that's what's is an issue for trying to. Maybe it's actually really it's the lines.
Yeah, probably.
If you crack those lines, they're just gonna burst, and there's gonna be this big explosion.
God, that bar was funny.
To the Wolf in the nasty chat. Hey Tyler, nice to finally meet you last night. I did meet you last night. I'm not Tyler, I'm Matt. So thanks for tuning in. Me and your Remchik get mixed up a lot. You and I used to get mixed up.
We do too, yeah. Mark and Matt, sometimes on the clearly we look alike.
Yeah.
See, no. I think just the Mark and Matt would always confuse people, especially like, you started maybe a year before me, so
yeah,
give or take.
We're close.
Close enough, yeah. But yeah, it would happen all the time, yeah.
And then, it was me and your Remchik. The best part about the Remchik one, though, is often he'd get mistaken for me when I said something they were angry with. So Tyler would get yelled at and be like, Tyler, you're stupid. Or people would tweet at him, and they're mad at me, but he gets the blame. And I was like, fantastic.
Perfect.
It's like a body double. You have like a politician's body double. Like, take it out on him. Not bad.
It was all his fault.
Yeah.
Blame Tyler. Where did I want to go with this? Connor Brown scoring, I guess. How good was that?
Unbelievable. Yeah. Well, not many times do you get, I was thinking about this watching it, and not many times in sports that you get an actual Kevin Costner movie sporting event at it. Like that reminded me of Tin Cup, kind of. If you could put the like a video montage together of those guys in the booth when he's dropping 5, hitting 6, like on all Connor Brown's attempts, and he finally scores, and the place, you would have thought it was a Game 7 overtime goal with it's amazing. I was thoroughly impressed with the fans getting behind it. It got to the point where they're angry, but now it's, oh, come on, man, just score. And that goes to show, maybe it hasn't gone the way he's wanted to, but he's worked extremely hard on the ice. He can't fault his effort. But I thought it was a little bit of a missed opportunity from him in the interviews after, that he could have really thanked the fans a little bit more and got them even more. And I realize it must have been, he has been walking through that bar in Rexall for every day, essentially, for months. But he could have said, "I'd like to thank the fans for that. It really means a lot to me that they're behind me, and I'm looking to do more," or something like that, right? But he gave the hockey player answer. But a great moment. Great moment.
I think that goal also came at the right time compared to a guy like Tobias Rieder when the Oilers were really struggling and he wasn't producing. The fact that this team is well on the way to the playoffs. It was the goal to make it 7-2, I believe. Not like it was the 7th, not goal number 2. Like if that was happening in a blowout loss, it wouldn't maybe have happened. But full marks to the fans for how they reacted to that. It was so cool to see Connor's reaction itself. The fact that it went off his skate, I think, like
it's great that it was just not a beautiful goal, right? Like it just makes it even better that he got off the schneid with that type of goal too.
Yeah, so hopefully the floodgates are now open. I don't know if that's going to be the case, but you just love to see a moment like that. And these are the kind of moments I always think about as a sports fan. You know the championship DVD that releases when a team wins? Not to get too ahead of ourselves, but that is a moment that would appear on the championship DVD if we're lucky to get that far in June, right?
Well, you just see the reaction to the players alone.
Yeah.
Like you saw Evander Kane,
He was
pumped about it. The bench, they show them go crazy, and it was that trickling in and is it in, and then the explosion going past the bench and everyone trying to like knock him over, and he's just like, they had to stop the game. People are throwing like unbelievable. Like that's I loved it. What a show from the Oilers fans.
And it's good that they were able to throw the hats too, because like Hyman didn't get the hats because of the weirdness, but you still got the hats, and then like I'm sure they're all happy that then Connor Brown got the hats instead, and it's worth that hats were thrown on the ice last night, and
for sure
Connor Brown got it.
For as unruly as fans can be at times, as we started this conversation, when they do something like that. And like it's a group mentality, right? When fans start to boo, it usually starts with 10 guys and then it amplifies. But last night was the opposite, where it shows how intelligent some of the hockey fans are in this market as well, that they knew how important that goal was for everyone. And that doesn't happen in all 32 rinks probably. So very cool to see.
No, there's people if this happened in a different market in down south, there'd be people in the stands that didn't know the current situation. Yep. I think there was 18,000 people that knew exactly what was going on at that moment, right? So, and you could see just the smiles and everyone. It was, what a moment. Like if you look back the whole season, I mean, Hyman playing, Skinner's the way he's developed, but that's a massive galvanizing moment during the season for a team. You could see the joy in everyone's face. So awesome.
I do think it actually, I won't be, I believe he's going to score like another goal or two in the next 5 to 7 games or something. The confidence is now, it's off. Like he's past this, and he can now just get back to just focusing on the whole hockey. And I think he'll just come a little more natural. And maybe not Saturday, but I can't remember who they play next week, whoever it is, Minnesota or whoever it is that's coming down. Like all of a sudden, I won't be shocked that all of a sudden there's a goal. Yeah,
you need to go on a deep run. Obviously, you need your top 6 to produce, but you're going to need the occasional goal from your bottom 6. And it's just nice to get the monkey off his back. I was hoping for him to rip the monkey off his back and throw it in
Steve
the crowd.
Young.
Yeah,
that's who it was. Yes,
something like that. We didn't quite see it, but it was very, very cool to watch last night.
We haven't had you on this show at least since deadline. But what did you guys make of the deadline moves for the Oilers?
Great, man. I mean, they addressed their needs. I think Adam Henrique, although it's got to be tough for him after being in Anaheim for so long and finally being part of a winning team. That's an adjustment in itself at times, right? So wow, these guys are winning on a regular basis. So, and there was some pretty cool things that he did last night. He assisted on the Brown goal too for his first point. So and Stetcher had I didn't mind him. He gets around really well. I didn't think the first one was a penalty, kind of unlucky. To a sense, you could tell that he wanted to impress, but he definitely didn't look out of place out there. And Carrick, solid guy that hopefully can, like you said, Mark, just contribute when it matters most.
Yeah, I think it was a very good deadline. It's still hard for me to accept that the Oilers are a destination and team that players want to come to. Like, I think back to when they added Corey Perry, the fact that Corey Perry essentially could have gone
Anywhere,
but he decided to come play for the Oilers. I think that shows you what the league thinks of the Edmonton Oilers. I think that's usually the way to indicate where a player or team is going, is how the league treats them. And the fact that they were able to add Corey Perry. And then, they were like, this team is good. Why not? Right? Every year there's probably about 8 teams that have a realistic shot to win a championship. And I think the Oilers are one of those 8 teams. You need obviously some breaks and some things to go your way, but they've done their due diligence. They've able to remain relatively healthy. And you're going to need depth. Like Troy Stretcher, defensemen are like starting pitchers, right? You need 7 or 8 to really condense. Someone's going to go down. I think back to 2017 when they lost Sekera. And then Eric Greiba had to play big minutes in a Game 7. I'm not saying that came down
Matt
to Eric
Benning
Greiba.
needed to step up a little sooner than that was his rookie season.
Yeah, so you just need defensemen like that. And I thought for Ken Holland's his swan song apparently, or feeling like it.
It sounds like it is. It will be.
But that's not bad. Nothing matters if you win this season. I don't want to be the guy that's worrying 2 years, 3 years down the road. Focus on this season. I think they put themselves in position to win this season.
This is my favorite time of year. I think Dusty was talking about movies that you can, if they're on, you start watching again. I find that with hockey games now. I watched the Kraken Knights game from the other night. What a hockey game! Like it was so good. Guys are playing at such a high level right now. It's sad to say, but man, that Vegas D looks unbelievable. Hannafin is awesome. Pietrangelo. They're just monsters on the back end, and the way that they distribute the puck, because they were up, went down, their D-men completely took over. When your offense comes from the back end, a lot of it's very hard to defend, and that's going to be a difficult task to beat that team.
Do you think Vegas can score enough though?
Yeah, it won't matter.
Yeah, they can grind things out 2-1.
Yeah, no, it's their D are too good, and they're too offensive, and they're solid defensive minded. It's going to be very difficult.
Is Hill a good goalie, or is he good because of the defense in front of him?
He's a good goalie. Yeah. I mean, he's insulated obviously with that defense, but as we saw last year, he's able to make big saves when at the largest times in the game. You can't say that he's not a real good goalie, and his numbers reflect that he is quite good. Again, you have to look at the team and the structure, but I mean, if I was playing there, probably not the same outcome, right? So that's no, he is a really good goaltender.
The Golden Knights have been in existence for 8 seasons? 7 or 8 seasons, I think, around there. You know how many teams across North American sports would kill to have the 8 seasons that Vegas has had, starting from scratch, that they've been able to build and then really retool and reflip and repackage. Like, they are clearly not the expansion team that went all the way to the Cup final in year 1, but
6th year.
Yeah, 6th year. And
no, 7th. Last year was 6th. Yeah, I'm looking at totals. 7th.
And you have teams, again, across North America that can't get out of their own way. They can't make the playoffs. They can't even select draft picks properly. And then you have this team from really out of nowhere turns into a juggernaut in one of the classes of not just the conference, but in the entire league. Like, it is the 30 for 30 they make on the first 5-6 years of the Golden Knights is going to be unbelievable.
And I don't care about the expansion drafts, the rules. The owners took their money and they gave them those rules. The owners could have said, no, we're going to go with these other rules, and they voted these in because they're taking the $500 million from Bill Foley.
Stars aligned a little bit for them with the caliber of player that was available.
Mm-hmm. Well, and also we hadn't done an expansion draft in a long time.
Yeah.
And they took advantage of GMs who had no idea what they were doing. Like Dale Talon giving them Marchessault, and I can't remember, like, who else am I missing? But, like, here, take this player, so you don't take this one player, but you could also have this. Like, they were disastrous. Then the Kraken couldn't do that because I think GMs learned and like, well, we're going to make you draft.
Yeah.
And we're not going to just gift you some players.
Yeah.
But the Golden Knights, so the first year, obviously they won 3 series to get to the Cup final. They then blew it to the Sharks in 7 games, and that was where the Sharks had their 4 goals or whatever.
The power play, right?
But they were right there winning a series in the second year. Won 2 series and the seeding of the round robin stuff, and got to the conference finals in year 3. Won 2 rounds in year 4. didn't make the playoffs, won the Stanley Cup. Like, it's just complete playoff success, too.
If you take the championship out of it, that's still an incredible run for an expansion team. And then you add on, the hardest trophy to win in pro sports. Like,
they've got it done.
Yeah, it is bananas. And like as Gager just said, they're kind of poised to go on a nice run again this year. So incredibly impressive what they've been able to do.
So do GMs switch their thinking now? Like,
in what way?
Well, they're all in. They don't care. Like, do they have a draft pick?
So the 2000 of their first round picks, they either have their pick or a player they drafted from with the first round pick. Only 2 of their 7 years or whatever that they've been drafting. Yeah. They have this year's pick, and they have a player from 2 years ago, or I think 2 years ago that they drafted, and everything else they've traded away the pick or traded away the prospect that they picked. But so the question though comes, and maybe this doesn't matter, what does this team look like 3-4 years from now?
I know.
Once they go down, how long is it going to take to come back up? And that's what if they can do this for a decade, and we're not far away from seeing that, then I think we're going to see that the first round picks actually don't have value. If you don't have a top 10 pick, why keep it?
Yeah, I know. I just think they're constantly I think we value picks, especially first rounders, for the amount that that they hit and actually become regular NHLers.
Yes.
I think we put too much. There's too much emphasis on creating a player, like growing them from the grassroots and being part of your team. I think it's you shouldn't look at it like that. You're looking at it as building an asset to use almost at that point. Like, just because you draft this guy in the first round, even in the top 10, it's not always okay. We got to get this guy in our lineup playing on a regular basis, power play 1 or whatever. It should be more like, okay, let's get this guy NHL ready, so if the time comes, we can use this to make our team better.
Draft picks are great, but better players are better than draft picks, right? And draft picks, for as much as there are locks, they are still lottery tickets, right? Yeah. The percentage of hitting, and you said, especially outside of the top 10, like, we don't really know. So what will Vegas look like? Who knows? And jumping to, like, there's other sports, like the Los Angeles Rams flipped all their picks. They were down for maybe a year.
Yeah.
And it seems like they're kind of back. Made the playoffs this year. Like, if Vegas's punishment for this is maybe being down a year or two, I think they can be back.
It's with these picks. It's just I don't. You don't need him. Like, is Thomas Hertl going to be better? Is he going to be a better player than whatever the Sharks pick with that? Like, right now, I would guess it's going to be Thomas Hertl is going to be better.
Yeah.
Well, we'll find out.
Yeah.
But that's also now a long time away for the Sharks to deal with that. And the Golden Knights might then go win a Stanley Cup this year because Thomas Hertl helps them score some goals. So it's the first round pick. Like, you're right. It's a lottery.
It is.
Yeah. You don't know what you're going to get, and any draft year is always different. So why not? But the other thing the Golden Knights do really well too is they get rid of players at the right time.
Oh,
it seems.
Yeah.
And even sometimes they get rid of. I should say that it's not always at the right time. They sometimes get rid of a player who does well in other places, but they're not afraid to mess with their roster. They're not afraid to go, Max Pacioretty, we brought him in for these pieces. He's gone now. Like, we don't need to bring him back or whatever. Like, they're not afraid to do that. And that's also the key part, is that they'll churn their roster a little bit. They got rid of Marc-Andre Fleury. Yeah. The face of the franchise when they started, they had no problem saying, we're done.
I was shocked when it was Alex Tuck. Like, that guy was a beast, and getting rid of him, I was like, how are you letting that guy go? He was one of those players that they brought in. Like March, so I think this is why I think the stars aligned for them is they had those bubble guys that couldn't crack the team's top 6, but they were top 6 players. They didn't work as well maybe in the bottom. So the amount of talent that they were able to get and the amount of chips on shoulders of these guys not playing regularly on their previous teams, just it was lightning in a bottle.
And the glitz and glamour of Vegas means you can't take a night off, right? That building's going to be packed every single night, whether it's the visiting fans visiting your market. It does seem like you got to give the NHL full credit for going to Las Vegas first, because that market has embraced that team. Yes. And that building looks like a party every single, even if it's a Tuesday against the Minnesota Wild, that building looks like it's a party.
They care. It's like I was talking to a local there when we went in Feb. And he brought up, and there's no easy way of putting this, but that shooting was, it was nice for them to have the team It was something to rally behind as they had this devastation that occurred. And it happened to be their first season, and that, sports helps in those situations.
Absolutely.
We've seen it with Katrina when the Saints came back. That first game at the Superdome was a big deal. Sports can help try to heal a community. So for them, having that team then that they could rally behind really was big for them. And then they've been good, and it's also their team. And you're right, the NHL, they needed to be their first. You couldn't allow other leagues to get their first, but you got their first. You've now built this fan base. The Raiders aren't theirs. The Raiders have played in other cities.
The A's
aren't going to be theirs.
Yeah.
An NBA team will be theirs because they'll get an expansion team, and that's going to be Vegas's too. But the NHL will have already been there, and they'll have built their Golden Knight fan base.
Yeah.
And it's a strong one.
It's really strong. Yeah, and it's unfortunate that an event like that kind of brought the group together. But like you said, you've said this numerous times, Maddie, the fact that it was homegrown, in Vegas with all these other guys, I think it just means a lot more to that fan base.
Winner of Oilers, Golden Knights wins the Stanley Cup.
Think so?
I said a couple of days ago, or a couple of weeks ago, surveyor Brett tweeted out there, what I said on the morning show is that if the Oilers beat the Golden Knights, if they meet, they'll easily win the Stanley Cup. I added the word easily even in there too, which is a little far, but no, I do believe whoever wins that, they'll take down the Canucks, they'll take down the Kings, and then you only have to take on one team in the Central. I'd be worried about Colorado more than Winnipeg. Hellebuck's a great goalie, that's the thing, but I believe in DNA. And how some teams just don't have it to get it done. It's a college basketball. I'll never pick Arizona again in a bracket because I've picked Arizona so many times they never could finish. There's just certain teams, there's a DNA. And the Jets, to me, don't have a DNA that they're going to go win a Stanley Cup.
Well, I mean, geez, watching some of that Predators-Jets game last night, the Predators look amazing.
They did, yeah.
So, and Saros was, that's another wrench in it. If he can play that way, just another layer of trying to get through. Yeah, the West is so strong right now. Man, there's some good hockey being played right now. But I was just I was so impressed with the Kraken, the way they were playing, and the Golden Knights. Man, it was a really fast-paced game. That's why Saturday I can't wait to see it because, for a 7-2 game last night, it was entertaining. There was a lull in the second period there, but the overall speed, the Oilers did play with a lot of pace, and I think it got to a point where the Caps just couldn't handle it anymore. Saturday is going to be a real telltale of the pace of game and who really pushes the river and which team can keep up with the other. And then watching Makar, obviously, it's he's ridiculous.
I think the last time I was here doing the Hangout, you were talking about how much you love Saturday hockey night in Canada. And really, does it get much better than a late two top teams in the Western Conference, 8 o'clock, huge matchup? You know that building's going to be absolutely rocking on Saturday night. And we could be treated to one of the games of the season on Saturday. That is going to be fantastic television to watch.
I hope so.
Yeah,
I mean, 8:22 on a Wednesday sucks, but 8:22 on a Saturday is fantastic. I always liked because we had Dan Cleary on our team, and I don't know if it was Mike Greer or Rem Murray would always say, Danny, you better score early because your dad's going to be drunk and asleep by the end of the first here. So, but yeah, you can in Edmonton anyway. That Saturday game, you walk out and everyone's primed. Yeah. People have already probably 2 or 3 deep, feeling good about themselves, and the fact that it's the Colorado Avalanche. Nathan McKinnon, Cale Makar.
I'm a huge Cale Makar fan.
Oh, he's awesome, and just going up against the possibilities of a Western Conference final. I'm excited for it. I pray that it's just going to be a back and forth game.
And day before St. Patrick's Day as well, too. So people will be nice and primed for that one.
It's the lone time where an 8 o'clock game is accepted.
Yeah.
Right? Yesterday we're sitting there 8 o'clock. It's 8:22. Puck is going. On Saturday night it's 7 or Sunday at 7. We're pissed off because it's Crosby versus McDavid. But there is something about Saturday at 8.
There's
We're
ample
good with
time
that
to
one.
prepare.
It's just that's how you end your night. Like it's just the way you do it, and it's cool.
I feel like across all sports, 8:05 local should be the absolute latest
Yes.
a
Yeah.
game should start. There was an NBA game. It was one of the primetime games. It started at 9 o'clock local in Chicago. A 9 o'clock tip is ludicrous at home. Banana. And yeah, the 8:22 last night. I was at the Bruins game a couple weeks ago, and yeah, that's a late night.
Yeah.
I can't quite give her the way that I used to. And when you're walking out of the building at 11:15, that alarm clock comes pretty early in the morning.
Last night was perfect. There was a route. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
If that's a close. We're also going overtime and
Yeah.
shootout. You're just like, geez, especially when you have to work. Like,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You're doing post game or for the morning boys. It's like, oh my God, we like time's ticking away. Like,
Yeah.
let's get this over. So the route was perfect yesterday for that.
When I played here, our games would start at 9. But Italians had to eat.
Yeah,
Relax.
they ate late.
They ate late,
and they
right?
ate long.
Yeah. So when I like my son was 3 at the time, and my wife and I would go to a restaurant at like 7. It would just be opening. People be looking at us. What are you doing here? And it'd basically be empty for 2 hours, and we would leave, like going home to basically go to bed, and there'd be people coming into the restaurant. So yeah, if our game started any earlier, no one would be there. They had to wait till people were done eating to.
I've never been to Italy. I want to go, but I've also heard that like if you find a place that is open in the middle of the day, like for like a window, you have found a tourist place because most places close for lunch for like an hour and a half, where people go home, have a meal at home, and then come back to work. So if you find a restaurant that is kind of opened in like at the noonish time, you have found a tourist spot, not necessarily a big local spot.
Well, this Kronplatz, one of the best ski resorts, is where I lived. Like my owner or my manager, I could walk my skis to the gondola, and it took me 45 minutes to ski to his hotel, but it would take me 2.5 hours to drive.
Holy smokes.
It was just ridiculous, right? But Italy, especially in a ski resort town, they shut down right before ski season starts. So I would say from like November to December 1st, nothing's open because everyone's just preparing for the high season to come. So there were coffee shops, restaurants would open a little bit, but everything was closed. Like during the day, it's like the old school Sundays. Nothing's open. Sundays, forget about it. You can't do anything on Sunday. Which, you know what, I miss. When I was a kid, Sundays things were closed, and you have to go out Saturday, make sure you have everything that you need. And I found Sundays you just hung out with family, and it was a really good day when you prepared for it. Because you couldn't do anything else. It was great. I loved it. It's something that it should be adopted way more in North America.
Can I just ask what your game preparation is like for a 9 p.m. start? Like as a goalie, did you prefer like a 1 o'clock start or a 9 o'clock start? Because I imagine your whole day obviously revolves around the start. How do you prepare for a 9 o'clock start?
It was tough, man. It was weird because it was so much later. I found, because I like to kind of relax or lay down, but I didn't want to sleep for 5 hours either. So I would essentially I'd nap for a little bit, but then I'd get up, and I had my son at that point. So, and I was a little bit older, so it didn't the preparation. I didn't have to put too much effort into it.
That's fair.
And then I kind of just gradually more and more got used to it. But I mean, after the games, that was the worst. I shouldn't say the worst thing, but on the road, it was funny because you have to go eat in Italy, right? So you got to go to the pizzeria. You got to sit there. Takes about 20 minutes for the waitress to come over. You order. Everyone has a beer. We sit around for an hour. After games, we'd sit for an hour in a restaurant, hanging out, eating. And then I was like, let's go. But then I'm at the end, I go, you know what? This could be my last year. Let's just enjoy
it.
I'm sitting in a cafe in Cortina, Italy, where they had the Olympics, and it's just gorgeous with all the history around. I go, why am I wanting to go home right now?
This is the EST Hangout presented by White Claw, Matt Iwanyk, Marc Majeau, Joaquin Gage with you here. Portions of this hour brought to you by the Hive Product Marketing, official merch partner of EST. Promotional products that bring the buzz. Check them out, thehiveproductmarketing.com. We still have a little bit of merch. So then you'll be back. Gager's gone for just a little bit. Eric's going to come in just for a little period too, just to fill Gager's seat. But it's shop EST, EdmontonSportsTalk.com. Go to the top. There's still some merch that we have available for you. quickly.
Hey, man.
The hot seat.
You got the hat on. I think the last time I had you on, we didn't discuss them. Yankee season's about to begin. No Garrett Cole to start.
Man. Brutal.
That's rough.
It is. No one feels bad for Yankee fans. Let me just acknowledge that right away.
Although we haven't won since 2009. It's been too long.
Yeah. It's bad.
It's unacceptable. Unacceptable.
For as much as a workhorse as he's been since he joined the Yankees, this is
That's a big
devastating
one,
news.
especially 2-3 months or whatever.
And I think that's being nice. Like, I am preparing for him not to be back till the All-Star break. And really, I'm kind of preparing for worse. Like, that was a really just the worst injury that could possibly happen. The Yankees are driven by 3 players, Cole, Judge, and Juan Soto, and 2 of those players have had MRIs already. And MRIs...
Judge's abs being looked at.
MRIs aren't something that's like the first thing you check for, right? That's clearly a last resort, and to put Aaron Judge 6'7", 280 into a tube, you got to be pretty concerned about that. And I just mentioned how durable Cole has been, and anytime you hear a guy flying across the country to meet a doctor, it's not really good news. So to go from having the reigning Cy Young Award winner pitching on opening day to Marcus Stroman allegedly pitching on open day is quite a bit of a drop. Yeah, it's not great.
I'm also a little concerned about Stroman. Like, I don't know. What Stroman are we going to get here?
I know. He seems motivated. Like, he does seem to really want to play for the Yankees. He has since scrubbed all his social media of all of his negative Yankee tweets over the years,
Beautiful.
which is pretty goofy. But yeah, who knows what you're going to get. First half of last year, Stroman was unbelievable.
Yep.
But then he got hurt. So
your expectations for the season as a whole as Yankees fans, I know you've prefaced with this negative news here, but it's a long season.
It was, yeah. It was truly, I was expecting to compete for a division if everyone is healthy.
Yeah.
But honestly, now with Cole out, I think it's going to be really hard to compete for the division.
Yeah.
Because of them, and like Baltimore's really good.
Baltimore's good.
They'll be back.
Rays are always good.
Yeah.
The Jays are
who
the
knows?
Jays.
Yeah,
like
who
they're
knows?
like they didn't have a great offseason, but they still got a lot of great players.
course, yeah.
It's not going to be easy.
But you're not ending a drought, as you mentioned here. Like, this isn't a year where you're looking at things.
If they had Cole,
then.
like I haven't seen some predictions. They thought that they'd go to the World Series this year.
So how
people are
far does
saying,
this
like, it's
drop
going-
now with this? So you're saying struggling for
I
playoffs?
think if they were healthy, I think they could have won 95 plus games. Now I think
Maybe wild card.
high 80s,
So you're
yeah.
looking at
Wild
wild
card
card.
spot,
That's how
I
you're
think
trying to
so.
get in.
Yeah.
I think so.
And then who knows? Like at that point, maybe Cole's back.
Well, yeah.
And then maybe they make some all-star move. But like you go get Juan Soto, you hope that elevates this team just a little bit.
Yeah, and
I'm still weird. Like I find it so weird that after last season, where they ended up finishing so terribly, that Brian Cashman and Aaron Boone both returned. Like that, there was not a single change. Like it's just it's very un-Yankee like, especially knowing like what the old boss,
Yeah.
what
Well,
George
yeah.
Steinbrenner used to do. That wouldn't have been at all allowed.
And just by both your moods.
I'm not an Aaron Boone guy.
No, but a
either.
Yankee fan always has a bravado behind
Yes.
his or herself. But you guys are kind of, you have that bravado,
Well,
but it's
like they needed to fix pitching to me this year.
Sure, and that-
I wanted Yamamoto. It looked like they might were going to get him, but then he goes to the Dodgers like everyone else did.
Yeah.
They go get Stroman, it's fine. But I've seen a lot of big pitchers also come to the Yankees and struggle.
Yeah.
Like Randy Johnson was a big deal. The Yankees
unit.
went out, got the big unit, and he struggled as a Yankee. Like
Yeah.
it's sometimes those pitchers come and they can't do it. And so, well, could Stroman handle the Yankees? There's a difference about being. It's
And-
not just about being in New York. I don't care about the Mets. Being a Yankee is a different
but as
story.
now the guy.
Especially with Cole going down. But who's the guy that got hurt last year that they brought
Rodon.
in? He's got to have a step
gotta
up.
have a
Like
has
he's
to
got to
bounce
jump
back,
up, and hopefully he could be what they thought he was going to be last year. And if he's healthy, then maybe there's something with the Yankees.
No, and you mentioned how Cash and Boone are coming back. Hal Steinbrenner obviously now runs the team for his late father, and Hal had a quote in the middle of last season. Basically said, "We're 3 games out of a wild card spot. I don't know why fans are upset." Well, fans are upset.
What is this, the Flames?
Yeah, like it was just kind of like, well, the reason fans think championship or bust because that's what ownership told us for many, many years.
And that's the Yankees.
Yeah, like
That's
who
what
they
I'm
are.
saying.
Like
Yeah,
when I say that they haven't won since 2009, this is unacceptable. I know there's a lot of Jays fans that go, "Give me a break. We haven't won since '93."
No, but in Yankees world,
but
that's-
in Yankees world, that matters.
Each year's like 100 years in that time frame.
For that, and if you think about New York as a whole, the #1 team in the city of New York is the Yankees.
Yeah.
Whatever happens to the Yankees matters more than anything else that happens to the Giants, the Jets, the Mets, the Knicks,
Mets.
the Nets, the Rangers, the Islanders, it doesn't matter. Like the Yankees
New York Red Bull.
stand above the New York Red Bull, the New York Football Club.
New York
Yeah.
I can't remember what it was, but I just remember when Mariano Rivera like almost got hurt. He was out in Kansas City, and it became the top store in New York. Like immediately, there was something big happening in New York, but it was, is Mariano Rivera hurt? That became a story. So for Yankees fans, it actually is a big deal that they haven't won since 09. I don't even think I have a World Series appearance in that time, right? Like
09 has me flummoxed. When you say that, I have to pause and I
Before we all
think,
met,
and I'm like,
which
the
is wild,
organization
yeah.
you're talking about. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like
that's not the Yankees.
No.
That's just not who they are. So
But
three
it
games
is
in a
now.
wild card. What's wrong? Well, they're not top of the division. That's what's wrong.
But is this Is this all Yankees? And I know you guys have your in-house Skypes, but you do play in and Jays fans were singing this. It's the toughest division in baseball, and now it is for everybody in that division.
But the flip side is the toughest division because the Yankees were the top still.
Sure, but now it's
The Yankees fans, we shouldn't be saying, well, look at all these other good teams. It should be all the other teams should be saying that about our team.
They should be.
You're
Yeah.
stuck in a division with us. It was the AL East was always tough because you had the Yankees and the Red Sox. in
right.
there.
But now the Rays.
It's the Rays and the
Yeah,
Orioles.
yeah, yeah. The Tampa Bay Devil Rays
it's
are
that
now
the
the-
Yankees and the Red Sox are in there.
stuck in a
And
division
so
with
the fact
them.
that you're not saying the Yankees anymore, that's what you've done to the franchise.
Sure, yeah.
You've brought the franchise
You're
down
lowered
to the
a few.
pack.
Yeah.
Why are you doing that?
Yeah.
Can I actually take us in a somewhat
Go
different
for it.
direction about this? Talking about tortured fan bases. Now, I'm not saying the Yankees are a tortured fan base. Let me be very, very clear about
To Yankees
that.
fans, we are, but no one else will have sympathy
Yes.
for
But
that.
again, since 09, I think every year is like you have to in a Yankees.
For the Yankees world.
brain, that's
it's like
100
the Elks
that's a
not
long,
winning.
long
Like it was,
time, yeah.
especially, they always made the playoffs.
Yeah,
You
sure.
expected the
There
Elks
was
to make the
something
playoffs,
there.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Anyway,
But I'm curious what you guys think, either what makes a tortured fan base or who we think is currently the most tortured fan base. So
What makes a tortured
I bring
fan
this up because the football team I root for in the
Yes.
NFL
The
has
New
had
York
a
Jets.
disastrous 13 seasons. And there are fans of other teams who have accomplished more in that 13 years, but are more miserable than I am right now. So a larger conversation, I do think sports fans enjoy being miserable, and I say that kind of tongue-in-cheek, but I do think they like to complain about things. What is the most tortured fan base going right now in sports?
it's a heck of a question.
I'm not gonna lie. It might be the New York Jets if Aaron Rodgers is
Yeah.
running on RFK's
They're up there.
Junior's ticket.
Look at
If he's running for vice president and he's playing a Monday night game against who knows what, and then Tuesday somehow campaigning for RFK.
Yeah.
You have he comes in last year as your quarterback, gets hurt in week.
Well, you were
day
winning the
one.
Super Bowl last year,
Like
prior to
it's-
day
it's
one,
the plan.
right?
Day
And then he gets
one.
hurt. Yeah.
Now
yeah.
he's going to come back healthy this
we'll get
year,
him next year,
and
yeah.
all of a sudden he's got this
Yeah.
other
Yeah.
distraction potentially of being on a political ticket for a third party.
You're being offered a Super Bowl and keeps getting snatched from
You
your
had a
hands.
great defense last year,
Yeah.
not there. So the Nick or Jets would be there. What
You're being
makes a
toyed with
tortured
though. Like
fan
tortured
choice?
it's more of a toy.
Yep.
This is the definition. You can be tortured historically.
I'm just trying to think. Like I feel like the most tortured is almost it's the carrot being right there.
I know,
and
yeah.
being pulled.
But through that torture becomes once you get over that torture, then it becomes that much sweeter. But
Because if you never have hope, it's a lot.
It's a
like
different torture.
It's a different
it's a
torture,
gallows
but
humor
it's,
in
you
it.
understand it.
Like the Buffalo Bills. I just want to bring that to light here in how the flirting with success that they've had over the years and then snatched right out of their hands. But they've been to Super Bowls. Lots of franchises haven't been to. I mean, do you trade that in for the chance and the everything that goes along with
Yeah.
it, the hype and the?
But even look at the Bills, 4 in a row, obviously. But even the last 5 years, I think 13 seconds beating the Chiefs, leading by 3 points with 13 seconds left, is almost more gutting than the 4 Super Bowls. All you have to do is make one tackle, and you're knocking off the Chiefs. That's
to erase the 4 Super Bowls because that's on the line. Now you're erasing that type of feeling, but no, we're back there now with that.
Exactly. I think in the NFL, a team like Carolina, despite making a Super Bowl in recent memory, have you pulled up what the Panthers' offense is? Is.
They have an offense.
They can't. They
got
can't
Bryce
do anything
Young,
right.
and that's it.
They really can't do anything right. A team like the Minnesota Vikings, who has also made the playoffs in recent memory, the last 2 Vikings memories I have are obviously the Diggs catch against the Saints a couple years ago.
Yep.
But before that, and after the Diggs catch, they get the doors blown off in the NFC Championship by the Eagles. But before that, it's Brett Favre throwing crossbody off his back foot in the NFC
there's also the
Championship.
missed kick
the Gary
by
Anderson,
Blair Walsh.
And that one
the
too,
Gary
right?
Anderson,
Then Gary Anderson.
Yeah. They're up there.
and an old franchise.
Yes.
This isn't just new kids on the block. 20, they've been around for 10 years or whatever. But
then I also go to a team like a city like Charlotte who have the Hornets and the Bobcats / and what have they ever done? Ever.
Yep.
I think they had one good season that I could recall. Was it the Bobcats or the Hornets? I can't remember. But
But
they've
Charlotte
never done anything.
Pro sports
So
in the
would
Carolinas,
you want to
though,
be that, where you've never even come close, like the Blue Jackets? You've got nothing.
But and it's funny you mentioned Charlotte and the Blue Jackets because they both reside in like big college.
Yeah,
I mean
huge,
that's
right?
the Carolinas, college football, basketball, and all that, and then you got the Buckeyes, which I don't think you need to. But and I feel like those franchises just exist to maybe shoulder some of the, like, you are there, you want to do losing in this city or state, fine, this is the franchise you do it with, the pro one. We'll have giveaway nights, weird mascots, funny name, and you can have your misery there. But one day they'll get it over the line. The Cubs did. Everybody does it.
Yeah.
Eventually those curses come. Like it.
You hope.
It's math, right?
You
I
hope.
think, or something.
Yeah,
but,
I feel like, and I'm sure there might be Leaf fans in the chat saying the Leafs are cursed.
well,
And
that's a
the Leafs are feeling, to me, very Red Sox-y prior to 2004.
Sure.
Like they're just, some of the ways they're finding ways to lose is straight up comical. Like losing the ball, I guess that was over a decade ago, but the being up 4-1 in the third period, all that kind of stuff.
a lot of chapters to that book.
Yeah, there's a lot. So when you're looking at the last 10 or 15 years as to which team has really struggled mighty, there's a lot of them. So I guess my point is fans enjoy being miserable, but there's only one team is happy at the end of a season in any league. There's a lot
In
of
North America.
In North America. Yeah.
Well,
North
no, I think
America.
there's two. The one that gets the first overall pick as well, right?
I guess in a sense.
I mean,
but
we reward losing to an extent
could,
that
like-
we discussed yesterday.
there have been years in English soccer where I've remembered like 3 teams could celebrate because one won the Premier League, one
That's
won
true.
Champions League, one won FA Cup or Europa League or something.
And
Or
smaller,
college football, when
someone
you can
gets promoted,
share a
too.
title. Like,
Yeah. Oh, jeez.
I claim. Why can't you just claim? More claiming of trophies.
I just quickly want to look at the Charlotte Hornets / Bobcats. They've won 1, 2, 3, 4 playoff series. All of those were before 2002.
So pre
Since
HD
then,
television.
As the Bobcats and then the Hornets again, they've only been in the playoffs 3 times.
I like your
And they
pre
came
post
back-
HD television marker.
04, 05 is when the Bobcats came back, or Bobcats started, but came back to Charlotte, and they've only made the playoffs 3 times. And the last time they were in the playoffs was 15-16.
And the Bobcats,
They
that
have
was-
done absolutely nothing.
And yet, didn't Michael Jordan still sell his shares for like $1 billion?
A huge sum of
still
money.
was
Does,
able to get
does
out.
anybody care? That's what I'm saying. Like the fan base is probably just take the kids to
Well,
a game.
because no one wins.
No, but nobody cares.
They've
But,
never come close.
but it's like it's
So is that not a torture where it's like, well,
but when
you're
you give
never
away
going
like,
to be
hey,
good?
buy a couple of burgers here and we'll give you 2 tickets to the, like they just seem like they exist for that. You know, to have misery, hold the misery.
I don't know what the Charlotte Hornets marketing campaign is, but I imagine it centers around come see Kevin Durant and the Phoenix Suns play the Charlotte
Yeah.
Hornets. Come see the Lakers come play.
It'd be
Like, I
one
think
thing
that's
if they
what it
made a
is.
move or a deal or an acquisition or something where you're like, okay, now they're trying to, but they. It's not like they're even trying. You can't.
Well, they did. Who did they bring in a couple years ago? Didn't they bring in someone
Did
from
they
the
make a
Celtics?
splash?
I think they brought in Tony Parker, I think, for a quick.
But they brought in a
but
big
like,
free agent name.
you know, to sign autographs at the car wash on the whatever.
Who's starts with a G? He was with the Celtics. Gordon Hayward. Didn't they
yeah.
bring him in?
Okay.
I think so. Hayward did ever
then it
since
didn't
his
work
knee,
there.
Hayward
But this
bounced
kind of
around.
proves
And
my
then he
point too. That
left,
we're
yeah.
like that guy with the G. Oh yeah,
Well,
near
but
the
it was, but he was huge with Celtics. He was doing. It was a
Sure.
big free agent signing.
I
I think he
know,
went.
but-
I think he was the one that went there.
Yikes.
And it was just like, well, then it didn't work. Like it doesn't work. They do something, it still doesn't work. Michael Jordan buys the team, doesn't work.
But
It's Michael Jordan.
North
Doesn't
America, though,
work.
if you're losing, you got to then lose out and then have a path to winning, not just like, how are you continuously losing?
Yeah.
I don't understand. It doesn't make any sense.
That is a great question, though. What is the
Yeah, like it just, and they get every fan base will probably say it's them, but it's just
except
something
for
that
the Chiefs and the Patriots and who else can't say that
But
right
on
now?
the flip side, though, I guarantee you there is some guy on Kansas Sports Talk right now talking about how the Chiefs need to trade Patrick Mahomes.
Hey.
Like there's some guy that is absolutely has that hot
The Oilers'
take.
power play is good, but is it really that great?
They've won
Yeah.
enough.
Yeah.
Are they going to be able to continue with this?
Yeah.
Maybe get some pieces for Patrick
Strive for
Mahomes.
perfection. They lost a few.
He's peaked. Like that was it. We got.
They didn't have the best regular season.
There is a guy I used to be friends with who is a Patriots fan, and you would swear the New England Patriots were the worst franchise in professional sports. By the way, he talked about them. Yet he experienced more playoff wins than playoff appearances for my team in a 13-year stretch. So yeah, it's just I love sports fans. I love being a sports fan. That's why I think we all do what we do, right? We're all fans, passionate fans of something. But there's like a toll that certainly takes on fan bases.
And you need the misery, though.
Sports fans,
You do
it's-
need to drink it in. And
We've
the
we've
journey.
lost years in our lives
journey.
because we're sports fans.
Right, but the journey, it is about the journey.
The climb,
And
man.
you never realize you're in the journey until you're out of it and you're celebrating on top of the hill, but you really got to enjoy the journey.
I remember chatting with Will Fraser the morning after the Cubs won the World Series.
Yeah.
And his reaction was like, well, now I have to care about the Cubs? Like, now I actually have to care about their rotation?
But when the party's over and the lights are on, then you're like, oh, we won. Now what? Like, okay, got to do it again?
Yeah.
Yeah,
There's no
stuff.
story there.
Any quick thoughts on Rodgers?
I do
Is this the first time it's been brought up this morning on this show?
I think so.
The best part,
Okay,
yeah.
great. I
His
just
name
wanted
has
to-
been thrown out, but,
Okay,
and I
yeah.
mentioned just not the actual.
I know he
like,
said it's very
a comment.
convenient that you're on here and it's...
Yeah, so it's a mess. 2 months ago, this is the same guy that said we need to eliminate distractions around this team, and yet he is allegedly on a presidential ticket right now. So I do believe he is simply trolling. I think he loves the attention. I think the ownership of the Jets is okay with him getting this attention. I think, like, was anyone talking about RFK's presidential bid before Aaron Rodgers? Maybe
It's been a while since he's been talked about.
a little
I'll say
bit,
that.
Depends
so-
where you
He
go.
has been
Very fair.
talked about a little bit, but it's been a while since he's actually
Guy's
been prominent.
buff, eh? He is ripped.
He was talked about before the primaries began,
Yeah.
So
and then it stopped.
I think Rodgers he loves attention, and this is just very frustrating. Take whatever political party you align with, take that out of it. He talked about eliminating distractions, and now he is not eliminating distractions. So that's what happens when the Jets brought him on. I think we all knew it was going to be a little bit weird. Didn't anticipate it to be this weird.
You didn't think of a VP
yeah.
ticket.
I
did not
never
think
would have
about that.
thought that all of a sudden I'm hearing he might be on a presidential ticket come
Yeah.
election time.
Yeah, so it's bizarre. So I would imagine football operations is furious that this is going on. But truly, I don't think Woody Johnson, owner of the Jets, cares. I think he loves that his team is being talked about. I think he loves this. But it is a gong show. He's going to be the quarterback if he's healthy next year. He's owed $70 million over 2 seasons.
And he might not actually be on the ticket. There is an announcement. I can't remember what day it's coming.
It's between him and
26.
Jesse
26.
Ventura, isn't it?
And even,
Well, no,
even
okay.
Jesse was like, no, I'm good.
So what's come out is apparently it's done. RFK's got who it's going to be. Jesse Ventura's son said he's not actually been approached, like in the end, to like be it.
Okay.
So it doesn't leave a lot of other candidates left, and they're doing this in Oakland, California, which isn't far from where Rodgers went to school and like kind of where he's from and stuff. So it kind of looks like it might end up being him, but like it's going to be someone else potentially. But for Rodgers not to just say no.
Exactly.
Like
That's
if
it.
RFK comes on and be like, hey, would you have expressed interest? The report is he reciprocated. He's like, he'd consider it. If you're a Jets player, like that's where you're sitting there going like, dude,
Yeah.
to your point, he says get rid of distractions. This is a distraction. Why?
It would be really.
How does this work?
It'd be really simple, and who knows what's happened behind the scenes. It would be really simple for someone at the Jets organization to text Aaron and say, hey, 2 months ago you said you want to eliminate distractions. We agree. Could you refute this? That's all it took. And maybe that did happen. Maybe he said no. But they let him essentially hold the franchise hostage. And that's what's happening right now. And yeah, it stinks, man. It's the last couple months, really since the ACL, it's been really hard to care about this team because it seems like ownership doesn't care about this team. All they care about are the new uniforms that are coming out next year. And they raised season ticket prices 20%.
20.
Wow.
20%.
I heard Oilers. I think it's 11 for the Oilers next year.
20%, and
Yeah.
I bet you none of that money is going to replace that slippery surface at MetLife Stadium that eats ACLs for breakfast. So it
Will get replaced in advance of 2026 because the World Cup's coming.
It better, man.
And it's the home. It's the final.
You want to talk about some expensive players and expensive ACLs that are in that tournament? Yeah, they'll be replacing that turf.
So actually, they'll have to replace it sooner, I think.
You hope.
Well, you'd want to get it fixed in, so we'll have to see how that fully plays out.
But I don't. Has anyone been to MetLife Stadium in Jersey?
No.
You have.
Yeah, it's not a great stadium, and obviously I don't
I've
know
seen
the
it, yeah.
turf or
Soccer World
anything.
has mocked it once it was announced as the final, like taking pictures outside. It's just a massive parking lot, and
Yeah.
like this is where the World Cup final is going to be. Like really,
It's a joke amongst Jets and Giants fans. It's the air conditioning unit. It's a AC unit plopped on a swamp, and what's the American Dream Mall is in the same parking lot as it. So it's not great. I'm not surprised FIFA went. FIFA will just follow the money. I'm assuming they're being rewarded handsomely for having this final. It's
Well, and it's like
New York
the
and Jace.
Yeah.
It's
the
New
U.S.
Jersey.
There wasn't a lot of it's New York or it was Dallas. Those were the two decisions. And Dallas is a beautiful stadium too, but it's also just a massive parking lot, if I'm not mistaken, outside of it. It's not like it's in a beautiful location itself. And that's what it came down to, because I can't remember the issues with SoFi. I think SoFi would be too small of a soccer pitch than what they wanted, because soccer pitches could be different. I think if with where the stands are and stuff, where the pitch would be a little too small for what FIFA wanted for a World Cup, and that's why SoFi kind of wasn't considered for LA. So it was down to Dallas and New York, and in the end, it should be New York. If there's a World Cup final in the U.S., it's New York, LA. It's got to be one of those two cities. I would have loved if it was at the Rose Bowl, actually.
That's where 94, I think, was, right?
Yeah, it's hosted so much, and it still actually holds up. But I get why it's not there. So, but it's going to be a very, and I know Canada's part of this and stuff, but it's a very U.S. World Cup, right? It's not this screams USA to me.
Absolutely. Dallas missed out on the World Cup final, but they're getting the Mike Tyson fight.
YouTube, Trev, and Zach to come think that Jake Paul has a chance if Tyson tries.
know.
I think Jake Paul has a chance.
If Tyson tries?
He's 58 years old by the time the fight happens.
I'll let Gage take this one because he...
Not a chance.
By Joaquin Gage, Marc Majeau, Matt Iwanyk. This is the EST Hangout presented by White Claw Hard Seltzer. There's always someone looking to ride the next wave. They're here for the ones who make their own. White Claw, the difference is clear. Your keyword coming up in just a few minutes.
He fought Fury. Did you watch any of that?
I've just seen clips. I'm not going to pretend to be a boxing expert.
And Fury is
Not
an okay boxer.
Not the top Fury.
No,
Tyson
no,
Fury.
his brother.
His
His
brother.
brother.
I think Anthony or something like that.
And it was, he dominated at points, and I'm not saying Jake Paul's he's actually a not bad fighter
that's what
for
I've heard,
what he is, but this isn't even McGregor against Mayweather, where Mayweather carried him for a bit, although Conor did look pretty good in those first few rounds. And actually, I think he was up after the fourth round, but Mayweather knew it was just a matter of time. To fight Mike Tyson, I watched him fight Roy Jones Jr. Granted, these guys are way past their prime, but Roy Jones still very fast, and he could not get away from Tyson. And Tyson could have killed him, but he hit him in the body more. Jake Paul is finally going to be hit by a professional fighter that is going to change his outview on the rest of his life. And it's the one, I don't know, Mike could be it could be a little bit of an exhibition. Like, this is an exhibition. If it was a real fight, this wouldn't last more than a minute and a half. Mike would hit him once in the body, and it would be game over, and he would go, I don't want to do this anymore.
I am interested, and I agree with everything you're saying. I do think Jake is better than people are giving him credit for. I just think from the age difference, Mike's 50. He's going to be 58 by the time this fight happens. I'm very interested to see also what this does from a broadcasting point of view. The fact that this is on Netflix, no added subscription required. Right?
No?
You get it just with Netflix.
Okay.
That's been reported that you can just fire it up, and it seems like this is a trial run for Netflix cutting a check to the NFL or to another large league and saying, we can do live sports.
Well, they're doing WWE. WWE signed a deal with them.
Starting in 25,
They did the tennis match recently. Nadal, I can't remember who he took on. I don't think it was Djokovic. But there was a tennis match that they broadcasted. So I think they saw Amazon Prime and went, well, we now got to get into this game. And they keep raising their prices, and people keep leaving Netflix. So now it's how do you get people kind of coming back? It might be sports. Sports was the thing that saved cable.
And
it's still going.
It's the only appointment television left. Like
almost,
yeah.
Like HBO is the only other thing. HBO puts out a series like Succession or House of Dragons or something that is still, I think. There's a few shows that they have that are appointment view, and everyone stops to go watch those. But that's even still pretty rare.
There's very few water cooler shows that are available anymore. Game of Thrones, House of the Dragon, those things you have to watch them because you don't want to hear someone else ruin it for you, right? So like when I have a show that I really like that's on once a week, I got to go dark that if I'm not watching it at that time.
But I don't think there's that right now I don't think there's that show on TV.
No, I think
it might have been since Succession. Like
Succession,
there hasn't been something really.
Shogun might be the new show. Have you dived
I
into
haven't.
Shogun
I
yet?
have. I remember. I watched the show as a kid. I probably shouldn't have because there was some scenes in there that aren't suitable for young viewers. But I started trying to read the book as a kid. And it was too much for me. Because the book, it was huge. It was massive. And I tried reading it because it was a big TV movie on, I forget what it was, but yeah, there was all hype. But have you watched it all?
So I've heard it's fantastic.
Yeah.
I fired up the first episode after work one day. I got home late. And after about 10 minutes, I realized it was a reading show and I hadn't paid attention. So like, no, I need to be in a better, like when you get home from a post-game show, you're like wired and you try to relax and you can't. That's what I tried with Shogun. So no, I've watched the first 10 minutes. Every time I looked up, it was awesome. It is on my list. Okay. It's a throw a phone across the room and just focus on the TV front show.
Okay.
What's this on?
Disney Plus.
Oh yeah,
but it's shattering. Plus, I think it's Hulu in the States, but it's like shattering all of the viewing records and stuff. So
it's a famous book.
Apparently, it's really good. But regardless, I'm excited for the boxing match on Netflix.
Oh yeah.
See, and I've gone like I don't want this. Like I don't think Tyson's going to try. I think this is a money thing. This is going to be Mayweather versus Paul, which I watched and I was upset at the end because it was just a complete joke. And I feel like this is that. And I love spectacles, but I'm not going to watch this. But I know in like a day or two before, I'll be like, I'm going to watch it. I'll watch it. I'll find it.
Easily accessible. That's the thing. I think it's really smart that they're not putting an additional charge on it.
Well, I don't have Netflix.
No? Okay.
No. But you'll
find a way.
Yeah, there's other ways to do it. I think for that one, it'll be one where I think if I'm doing nothing, I think I'll probably just be like, okay, it's on. I'll find my stream.
It'll also be interesting to see how they build up the undercard as well, because there are going to be a lot of eyeballs on this fight. And if they do, I don't know where boxing is in the pantheon of sports right now, but there is an opportunity to put some really good fights on the undercard because you're going to have a lot of eyeballs on it.
I feel like boxing came back up for a little bit there. There was Triple G and there was a few others. And then there was the Fury Wilder trilogy.
Yep.
That was really big. And then I think maybe I'm wrong and somebody's going to correct me, but I feel like it's kind of dipping back down again.
Canelo was the face of boxing.
You had Joshua.
He just fought Francis Ngannou on Friday, I believe it
crushed
was.
him.
Yeah. So like, and I don't know. I think maybe we're going to have Fury, Joshua again. That's kind of the next, but I don't think there's a lot of.
Were you a boxing guy? Like so like you were there for Tyson fights, like watching all those 90-second knockouts?
I'm at a certain vintage where you had to go to the cable place to pick up the box rent it, take it home and set it up. My buddy and I, we did that for the McNeely fight.
I was thinking about that actually.
We went and got it, like the beers and we all pitched in the money and took it back to his apartment and it was over like
Have you ever watched the Peter McNeely fight?
I don't think I have.
So first fight out of prison, I think, right?
Yeah,
for Tyson.
first fight out of prison.
His comeback. And it's over in about 90 seconds. Peter charges. Don't run at a bear should be the first rule of boxing. Yeah. McNeely goes right at him. Mike knocks him down within 10 seconds. I think McNeely's trainer even gets in to try to stop the fight.
Oh, they stopped the fight too. He made a bunch of money. The best part of the whole thing was he did a pizza commercial for Domino's after the fight. And so he was like, he was McNeely. He was getting all hyped up and then someone threw a piece of pizza and it hit him in the chin slightly and he went down. Like it was classic. But
he could make fun of himself.
Like the lead up to that fight was just, they did such a good job of marketing that thing. Like Tyson, the out of prison and what he was saying to McNeely coming out of prison. And I mean, they showed there's a one like the stare down before the fight. That was, I would have been so scared because Mike wasn't moving and McNeely's trying to look. He's a guy that's trying to look tough, and Tyson looks like a caged animal that hasn't had a decent meal in months, and he's just watching his prey with his eyes. He's not. Oh my god, that was scary.
Peter shuffling back and forth. Tyson's stationary, but his eyes
his eyes are just looking back and forth. Like it was one of the most scariest things I've seen.
You remember when Homer Simpson fought Frederick Tatum?
That's exactly what they spoofed, isn't it?
Yeah, it's exactly what it was.
Coming out of prison is
it's exactly what
great
it was.
episode. And then they added the fan part to that with Mo, and great episode. The Simpsons is fantastic.
But like if you go back and watch the Roy Jones Jr. fight, you see Mike Tyson should have won. They called it a draw. It was kind of it was a spectacle, but he hurt.
Yeah,
he really hurt Roy Jones.
And that's the question. Like, how does Paul react to getting punched by Tyson? Can he handle that? How does Tyson react to a Paul punch? I don't know if that affects.
He's been hit
Mike Tyson.
by Lennox Lewis.
I know, that's the thing. So that's where it's like I don't think Paul has a chance if Tyson tries. If he cares.
I know.
I'm worried that he's not going to care. This is a payday spectacle, and it's going to end in a draw or whatever. And we'll be like, look at this.
That's the thing. I think he will, because I thought he wasn't going to try against Roy Jones. I thought that was going to be more of a show, and he was trying. Like, it looked like he was going to kill him.
It is time now for the keyword, as it's the EST Flyaways. We're looking to qualify you to send you to Las Vegas. We're qualifying people until April 25th, April 26th. We will do the grand prize draw, 2 nonstop flights, 3 nights accommodations, tickets to Cirque, presented by FlyYEG and the LVCVA. Nonstop flights to over 50 destinations. Your sports trip starts with a nonstop flight from FlyYEG. Visit flyyeg.com for more information. We're qualifying people 4 times a day. This is your second chance today. We're also qualifying people once on Saturdays during Hello Hockey. Today's keyword is vacation. Vacation. V-A-C-A-T-I-O-N. Vacation. You got to text that to 780-218-9999. Not in the nasty chat. Text it to us. And you got about 5 minutes, and then Zach Tim's going to give someone a call. We'll try to connect you on air for me to quickly chat with you for a bit. But if you want to qualify for this trip to Las Vegas, vacation, text that to 780-218-9999. If you happen to win this trip, you've got 2 months to book, and you could travel within a year. So you got 2 months to figure things out, but you can travel whenever you want within a year. Again, it's 2 nonstop flights, 3 nights accommodations, and tickets to Cirque, and you can do a bunch of other different things.
Now that you've gone to Vegas, when's the best time to go, do you think?
Well, I don't know. I've only went in February.
I know, but
so I don't know when. Like, I haven't gone multiple times.
But do you think, would it be like for a football game? Would it be like if the Knights Oilers? I think
that would be great. I love heat, so I think I would love the summer.
Oh gosh, it's hot.
I think I would absolutely love it, but that's for me. I said walking away of how good Super Bowl week was there with Super Bowl.
Yeah.
I think it would be great for Super Bowl no matter what. Whether Super Bowl somewhere else, it'd be a great party no matter what. Like, especially if you go to that Circus Swim.
Yeah.
It'd be wonderful for the Super Bowl. So I don't know.
I've gone in April. And that's a nice time where it's still really hot during the day, but it does cool down to like
still
a
not
manageable.
Perfect here.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the thing about the summer, like, I hate leaving Edmonton in the summer because we went through, except this year, miserable winter. I want to be here for the good stuff.
Yeah.
And I could go the other times of the year. So that's the tough part to want to leave. When would you want to go to Vegas?
Come on.
Anytime, baby, right?
Well, you just asked me this question. I got to put it to you. When's the best time to go? Like,
F1. That's when you go.
Oh, that's what it is. Okay, I thought you were going to go whenever.
No, of course it's the F1 weekend. But
so quickly, before we call or qualify. Yeah, so you watched Drive to Survive?
No, I haven't.
So you just watched the race?
I just raw dogged it. My brother's he's a big F1 fan, and he texted me about it. So it was the first one, was the Saudi Arabia first one of the year?
No, that was
Saudi was the second one.
Bahrain was
first.
First one. And I loved the spectacle. I was blown away that they just send a guy with a microphone around like
Martin Brundle.
Yeah,
it's the best.
It looks like, all due respect to our fellow Nate alumni, it looks like something you'd see at Nate. It's just someone walking around with a microphone and a camera.
The best is when he hits Americans and they blow him off because they don't know who he is.
Yeah.
But then there's like a Rory McIlroy, like all these other stars from Europe that know who he is and what he's doing, and they're there to talk F1, and he stops them, and they're ready to talk F1.
Yeah. So the spectacle of it was unbelievable. I don't think it was the greatest race in the world, and I think a lot of race fans would admit it would be like watching your first NFL game if it was a Super Bowl where the Patriots beat the Rams and it was like 12-0, something like that. But I totally get it. I love how the growth of that sport over the last few years because of Drive to Survive. It's been a lot of fun. So like my brother's a huge fan, so he keeps me updated. I love having high stakes on at like 8 a.m. There's something really different about that. Just waking up and you have something exciting to watch. Yeah, I don't know if I'll be a full-blown F1 fan, but it was a nice experience for the first time.
Okay, well next year we might have another guy for the pool. So
here's what I'll say about F1 too, where it's great is like he wakes up for it. It's great to just record. When you wake up, throw it on. It's a great way to start your Sunday morning. Just having that on, even in the background if you have to. Like if you're dealing with your kid and all that, like just having that going. It's you just make sure you're sitting for that first lap especially.
Yep.
But just to having it run for 90 minutes.
Yeah.
It's a nice way to start a Sunday.
And it's quick too, right? Like it's quicker than a NASCAR race.
Yeah.
It was pretty enjoyable.
some of the most enjoyable parts of my week is because there's a little sound that they play when they go to the helmet cams or the discussion between the pit wall and the driver. Yeah, that's my sound for any F1 alerts on my phone, and I smile every time I hear that little jingle. It's just I'm all in. I realize that for the new fan, you want to see the winner, right? And so, gosh, who won? You wouldn't even know because Max was. They don't even show him, because, right?
Yeah.
But some of the other stuff that happened in last race, and I talked about it on Pit Stop Pals. Kevin Magnussen was a genius in creating a window for his teammate for Haas to get 1 point. I'm sure Gunther Steiner was going nuts, but these are just. I love it. I love the fact I get up early on a Sunday. Everyone's still asleep. My dog. We sit there and I just have 3 screens going and just enjoy the race.
Yeah, something about high stakes first thing in the morning. It's
great.
Pretty fun. Sports fans, we mentioned hockey night. You're waiting for 8 o'clock. Not some of the European sports, man. Alarm goes off and you're ready to rumble.
You still into the soccer?
Oh, very much into the
Leeds?
soccer. You betcha, man.
Your
We're
second league?
so close to getting promoted right now.
Are you?
So they're in they're second place in the table right now. If they beat Millwall on Sunday by more than 2, they'll be in top spot. So in position to get a playoff spot and in relatively good spot to get promoted back up. So it's been a lot of fun, man.
Are you able to watch the games?
I am. So championship games, League 2, they're on DAZN.
Okay.
Not every game is on DAZN, though. So it really makes me go out of my way to watch them. So it's been really nice. There's a game against Leicester 2 weeks ago where I actually took the day off work because I was so excited for it.
I love that.
Leeds scored 3 times in the final 10 minutes, and it was unbelievable. So, yeah, it's been a lot of fun.
Soccer is just... It can be the best if
It
you
is,
get into it.
yeah.
And I will say this for anyone that just wants to get into it, watch Wrexham and follow Wrexham.
That's another
They're
one
a great
too, yeah.
story, and they're
Oh,
right now.
that's-
They're in promotion too right now.
Yeah.
They might go up another league.
Really?
Yeah.
No,
And then what I've always heard is that once you get to that next league, sometimes you're better than those other teams because you've had a built in. It's so
Right,
hard to
right.
get up there that you could easily jump to then League One they'd go to. But then that's where the real challenge begins. Can they get from League One to Championship?
Yeah.
And then can they get from Championship to Premier League? For that to happen, I'm saying it's at least a decade.
Ryan Reynolds, part owner of Alpine, by the way.
Yes.
Good point in Drive to Survive where he's talking to Alex or Esteban, and he says, finally, because he's on Drive to Survive, I'm part of another sports documentary. So, pretty cool.
We have a qualifier, Zach?
Yeah, Jamie.
Jamie is on the line, I think. Jamie, can you hear me?
I sure can,
Hey,
Maddie.
Jamie, congratulations. You've qualified for the chance to go to Vegas. You ever been to Vegas before?
I've been a couple times and looking forward to going back. So,
Beautiful.
Make me a winner, buddy.
Question that Gage threw to me, and I'll throw to you. When would you say is the best time to go to Las Vegas?
Oh, God. I think I went around April both times. So April, May for me worked up really well. So,
Perfect.
I don't know if there is a better time, maybe. I think that any time is a good time to go to Vegas. So.
I like that answer, Jamie. I like that answer. Well, congratulations. You've qualified for the chance to go to Vegas. Be sure to have your phone on and listen April 26th as Dusty and Eric will do the grand prize draw. If your name's chosen, they'll give you a call, let you know that you're off to Las Vegas.
Groovy, man.
Congrats. Best of luck. And that was Jamie, our qualifier. He says, because you guys are the only ones that can't hear, anytime's a good time to go to Vegas.
Oh,
He's
okay.
only been in April, May, so maybe that's a good time, but he says anytime.
Calling
Let's go to
those
Vegas.
winners was always a fantastic radio, right? When you get to call them and you hear the excitement anytime Dusty and Eric would do them, that's always a very cool thing to be a part of.
Making someone's day.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh.
Your next
Thanks,
chance to
Zach.
qualify for the flyaway from EST, FlyYG and LCVA coming up in the lock shop. Hustler and Jake will have that for you. No Dusty. He's gone home.
Oh, he's done.
So I'm going 2 guys with you and
Wow,
Cass today.
okay.
And
All
so
right.
we'll also have a keyword that day too, but he's a little down, so he's gone home for the day. I got that text during the show. So I should text Cass at some point to let him know I'm doing that one as well. But your next keyword coming up during the lock shop, which will be coming up following the EST Hangout portions of this hour. It is brought to you by the Edmonton Blind Curling Club. They're hosting the 50th Western Canadian Blind and Vision Impaired Curling Championship. That goes next week, March 20th to the 23rd at the Granite Curling Club. Come out and support visually impaired athletes as they look to become champions of the West. Matt Iwanyk, Marc Majeau, Joaquin Gage with here on the EST Hangout presented by White Claw. We will get to the Dune before we do that one because I think that might eat up a little bit of time. Just quick thoughts, Elks news today. So what they announced in fall was that this franchise is going to look at all options for what's next for ownership. What should they do? Dave Naylor's reporting now that they are indeed going to look at private ownership. There's as much as dozens people interested that have signed NDAs. They're hoping to have this done by training camp. The keys in someone else's hands. You have until April, I think, to if you're in a party that's interested. They want to start vetting people in May and hopefully have this done by the time the season gets going. Thoughts on the Elks moving after 75 years from being a community-owned team to private ownership? You are a season ticket holder. You sling dogs at the stadium.
I wasn't fully immersed in Elks culture until I started slinging dogs in the stadium, and there is a definite group of people that go to those games, and I think a lot of I could see from last year and walking the concourse. What I realized there was the hardcore CFL Elks fan that was mad about the team, and it started to turn around a little bit. Just the play was getting better, but I found the fan was changing as well. They were there to support their team, obviously, but it was also to have a good time. And I think that's the beauty of the Elks. Like, obviously winning helps tremendously, but I think it's the way that the team is viewed. It's summertime. Edmonton, you said, you're outside. Edmonton is one of the best places to be in the summer. I think with a new eyes on it, a new look. I think you can not only focus on what's on the play on the field, but provide a little bit more of the extracurriculars that you get by going to the Elks game and enjoying it with people. I think that's a part that wasn't emphasized enough. Now with the tailgating and the people there and being able to come get a hot dog from me, I mean, it's the possibilities are endless. So I think it's a great idea. I think having a captain to steer the ship in his direction, hopefully it's a good vision. I think that can only help.
Ryan Reynolds and Rob McElhaney. Are they on the short list to purchase the Elks?
We threw that out there.
Okay.
We threw out, was it Fraze? I think we had Fraze that threw this one out there. Ryan Reynolds and Nathan Fillion.
Oh, yeah.
Because Fillion's local, and they're
Yep.
buddies.
Okay. I could see that.
So you get Fillion involved, say, hey, get your buddy Reynolds, and you could do what you did with Wrexham here.
Yeah, and that's a former Green Lantern and an upcoming Green Lantern in Ryan Reynolds and Nathan Fillion.
Really?
He's going to... Nathan Fillion is playing Guy Gardner in the new Superman movie coming out in July of 2025. But I do think having a single voice is just a great call for the Elks. I think it's great for the CFL to have someone who can just basically speak for one of the charter franchises, to have someone go to these Board of Governor meetings that... Listen, I've lived here my entire life. I've followed this team. It's still complicated to know where the buck stops with this team, right? Like, who is the final person making a decision? And just knowing there's going to be one, obviously a group at the top to make that decision will help. I agree with everything that Gager said. You got to get people down to Commonwealth. If they win, you'll get more people, but you have to make that experience better. And I think they're working on that. I think you will get some sort of bounce, I think, with new ownership, especially if it's a name or a face that Edmontonians are familiar with. I think that will help a little bit. That you can,
but I don't know if there is that's beyond the Edmonton Oilers buying the franchise, and I don't think a lot of Elks people want the Oilers to buy it because they want somebody that's focused just on the Elks. Because I was actually texting with Clausen about this today, and his brother's in Calgary, and I'll use the way he worded it. But there's a very big difference between Edmonton money and Calgary money. He said from his brother. Damn it, we texted too much today.
Look at that name drop. Holy smokes.
Sorry. Edmonton has millionaires who dress like they're broke, while Calgary's full of $500K a year, quote unquote, millionaires. Like Calgary flashes their money. Whoever has money, they flash it. Edmonton, whoever has money, they're very silent about it. That we don't know the money in Edmonton. There is money in Edmonton, and that's where it's like I don't know, like who buys it if the name is going to stand strong.
That's fair.
But there's like it could be someone that's really good that though has money. We just don't know who that name is.
Yep. So it'll be really. I'm surprised it's happening that fast. Like it seems like that's happening quicker than it takes to buy a home. And I imagine the Elks franchise is worth a little bit more than your average house. So it seems to be moving really fast.
How much are they? Like this is what's fascinating. I don't know how much they're worth. And franchises, like they don't own a stadium.
They
don't own a lot. What are you buying? And it's the same with the BC Lions. It's like, what are you buying? You're buying equipment. You're buying a name. You're buying employee salaries
and like a video library,
right? Like you're not actually. There's not a lot you're buying in this. So what is like? I've always been the CFL. Probably to its benefit, has been very good at like MLSE buying, Bell and Tannenbaum, and then Rodgers jumping in after. But MSC owning the Argos, Amar Doman in BC, the two sales in Montreal. We never heard the price.
Yeah.
There's never been like in the NHL, if something sells or NBA, it's like, we sold for $800 million and $1.2 billion, whatever it is. Here, they never say the price. So I don't know what the value is. So it actually might not be that wild.
Yeah, that's true. And I wonder if...
It's more than an average house.
Yes, that's fair.
But it's like it could be a multi-million-dollar house, I could say.
Commonwealth is owned by Edmonton, correct?
The city of Edmonton.
The city.
And the lease is like $1.
Do you think the city would ever part with that stadium? Because I wonder if there is an ownership group that said, we're interested,
if they buy the stadium?
You have to throw in the stadium with that. Because that changes things drastically.
I would say no, because if you're an owner even, you're taking over a stadium, it's only $1. Would you rather buy a whole stadium and have to spend the money to own it that needs a bunch of renovations, or would you rather just be the tenant and you're only paying $1?
It's true, but then it's yours, though. That's the thing. Like, it is, you can do whatever you want to
fair.
it. So that is something I think a couple ownership groups would likely bring up, saying, what's the price, and what will it cost to take over the stadium as well? Because that would make things a lot more
stadium.
Yeah, that would make things more attractive. When you look at how much these teams are worth, I think Forbes released a list a couple weeks ago of the top 100 franchises in sports. The majority of them also came with a stadium. So the reason why the Rangers are so valuable is, yes, they're in New York City, but James Dolan owns MSG as well. Yeah. So that goes hand in hand with it.
It's one of the reasons the Oilers' valuation has shot up.
Of course.
There's other reasons too, but it's the fact that there's a lot of value around the rink that Cates owns. He doesn't own the rink. They do run it, though, and they get a lot of money from all the revenue from the rink goes to, if you buy the Oilers from Cates, you're getting all that revenue from the arena. You're getting from some other things, and that's what shoots values up. And that's where it's difficult for the CFL. I'll be intrigued. I'm happy there's a dozen, they say, names. Yeah. And I know there's a lot of probably not so good names in there that don't have the real financial backing. Yeah. They're not going to be good owners. But you would like to think if there's 12, there's probably 2 or 3 really good candidates that this committee could really decide which one is the best, and not just this is the only option. Yeah. This is all we have. This is the only thing, so we're going to go and give it to them, and fingers crossed this goes well, that there might be like, okay, well, we've got this group, this group, this group. They're all really good. Let's now evaluate and make a tough decision of actually who's going to get this franchise. That's what gives me hope that there were still people interested in buying. And Carl Pelledo in Montreal, he's got a lot of money. Mm-hmm. He's coming to the league. Doman's coming to the league. Like, there's people with money that are actually looking at this league saying it's worth it, and that's good for the CFL.
What about like an old McNall, Candy, and Gretzky situation? Is that what you're kind of thinking would a little bit more recognizable ownership?
Yeah, if you put your 1% into the face of the franchise, right? That is your former athlete. That'd be interesting.
Well, there's a Garrett Jones. He's a former player. He's putting together a group of players and that want to buy this team. My concern is he's talking a lot, and groups that talk a lot in these processes usually then you're not a strong candidate. Then the top ones usually stay quiet.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, I don't know if there's a name that you could have associated with this that would like. Could you get an Alphonso Davies or a Connor McDavid to want to be part of this, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's where you give, here, Connor McDavid or Alphonso, whatever it might be, we're going to put $50,000 into this. We own basically nothing, but they're going to throw us out there that we're on this, and I get X amount a year from this, dividends, right? Yeah. Like, can you get that? I don't know.
Yeah, that's interesting. It's because there's certainly examples of that across sports. I know in junior, like, doesn't Jerome McGinley still own the Kelowna Rockets? I know the Kamloops Blazers.
They bought it.
So I don't think they sold it. Did they?
No, I don't know if they sold it.
Was Struddy part of that ownership group too?
No, I don't. Well, I don't know.
But there was a few of those former Kamloops Blazers, right?
Sador.
There's a bunch of Canadian like soccer players that bought a small team in like the York region or something. It happens. Like, it was rumored that Davies was maybe looking at FC Edmonton when that was around. Like, I don't know how much truth there was to those rumors, but if you're like, that's what I think you'd want. You'd love to have
That'd be really cool,
a name to put on Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, like whoever it might be.
Yeah, hey,
that
he
you
owns
could have,
horses. Might as well own them. Football team.
where they don't have to really do anything, but they're the face of something. And they look amazing in a community.
Yeah.
Right. Like if you are.
Gagne.
I will go Ryan Nugent-Hopkins for this. Like
Gagne, Nugent-Hopkins.
if you sit there and say like, "Hey, we bought this team. We love the city of Edmonton." Like you're just going to be even more loved by Edmonton, even if everyone's not a big Elks fan. Those Oiler fans, but they care about the community though.
Yeah,
and your legend grows of this city.
You're thinking about the photo that's on the front of the newspaper too, right? You have your ownership group. If you have an NHL player or a FIFA international superstar with an Elks jersey with their name on the back, holding it with 9 other people, like that's
solid.
That's very good content.
But then that's where it's like Ryan Reynolds was interested in the sense. Like, why was he interested in the sense? And like, is there a way that you could somehow try to convince Nathan Fillion to do this? I would say no. But like that would have been the thing. Yeah. If you could have this celeb come in and be like, yeah, I'll take this and I'll look good for my city and I've brought this person on and look at all this attention we're going to bring.
The values of franchises obviously skyrocketed because you can't just pick one and say, I want to buy that, right? There's only, and listen, I know the CFL isn't on the same tier as some of the big four, but franchises don't just drop out of trees.
Yeah.
Right? They're hard to come by. So I do think there is a group that will say, I don't know when the next time a team's going to come up, and the values keep creeping up and up and up. I don't want to put you on the spot, but how much did Daryl Cates pay for the Oilers?
$200 million.
And what would the Oilers go for now?
I think the last evaluation was like
is it 1.5
or something?
Oh, it's more.
Or was it more than? Or was it? It's past 2.
And that was
really
15 years or so ago. So think about the growth.
NHL,
obviously, lots happened since then. Connor McDavid showed up, and there's a new arena. But the price of these, and how much did OEG pay?
1.85.
Yeah.
Wow.
US.
And OEG paid
7th highest franchise.
less than $100 million probably to keep the Oilers here back in the late 90s.
Yeah.
So the prices just continue to go up and up and up. And
well, they took the biggest jump because of Steve Ballmer.
yes,
When
and
they were
he
getting rid
admitted
of
that
Donald
too,
Sterling and the Clippers, he just immediately was like $2 billion, and it was like that, I think was it the Timberwolves at the time, or was it Milwaukee? One of those franchises, I always get them confused. Which one had just recently sold for like, I think it was like $600 million or $700 million. Like it was such a afterwards you think like that owner probably is kicking himself because Steve Ballmer all of a sudden just came in. It's like $2 billion for the second best team in LA. Like the Lakers are LA, and right there, then it was like, well, if the Clippers are worth 2, what are the Lakers?
Yeah.
And then if the Lakers are worth what are the Yankees and the Red Sox and the Cowboys, and what are all the NFL franchises? And right there, franchise values just shot up across the board.
Who is the Yankees? Or is it
Most valuable is right now, according to Forbes and stuff, Cowboys are the most valuable franchise in the world.
Oh.
that stadium probably helps as well too. There, like they are the biggest show in Dallas, but Yankees are up there.
Yankees would be, I think,
Where's
just
it?
follow.
And
Manchester United's up there.
No, soccer actually, the most recent one is down.
Oh, really?
Real Madrid is the top, and then United, but they're after the top 10.
Well, and
Top.
it's not when you
franchise.
talk about the Red Sox too. It's not just them. Like Fenway Sports Group owns the Red Sox, Liverpool, the Penguins.
And they're gonna do Vegas in the NBA eventually.
so,
They
like-
will have that one.
Fenway Sports Group is quite the juggernaut when it comes to snapping up these teams.
2003 rankings from Forbes in September. I got to scroll. Cowboys 1, Yankees 2, Golden State 3, Patriots tied for 3, both at 7 bill. LA Rams, New York Giants, Chicago Bears, Vegas Raiders, Knicks, Jets, New York Jets, not the Winnipeg Jets. Then Real Madrid at 11.
Wow.
And then Commanders United at 13.
And we'll talk about values jumping too. The Golden State Warriors, new arena, but look what they've done
And
in
went to
the last
San
15 years.
Francisco
Yeah.
from Oakland.
Yeah.
That changes a lot.
Absolutely.
Massive.
And United, so their value is $6 billion US. They just sold 25% for 2-point-some bill.
Ridiculous.
What is LeBron? LeBron owns which team?
He's with Fenway. So
Fenway?
it's Liverpool.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So he's part of that group. So
Yeah.
he technically owns part owner of the Pens and the Red Sox, and that's where he and Fenway will eventually get the NBA in Vegas.
He was wearing a Liverpool kit at
Yes, he
one
was.
of Bronny's games
Was
the other
not
day,
enjoying
actually.
Was he?
That was a
Yeah,
Laker
he
game.
was. Oh, was it a Laker game?
I think that was
oh,
a Laker
wow.
game because
Jeez.
Genie was there
right,
and somebody
yes.
else, and he wasn't playing in that game. I think it was a Laker game. Yeah, it wasn't.
Have you
That
heard?
hurts.
Have you heard the speculation that the NBA would bend their rules to let LeBron be player owner for a couple years if they do get to Vegas?
full Reg Dunlop.
It'd have to happen quickly, obviously, but it would be they'd bend their rules to let him take a small stake in Vegas, and then he is your poster child for the first couple years.
Well, what happened with Lemieux? Wasn't Lemieux owner and then
He played.
Yeah,
he played?
that is a good one too.
So
There's precedent for it.
Yeah.
I don't think the talk is he's signing another extension with the Lakers.
Oh, really?
He wants to.
I think that takes him a couple more years. I don't know if that timeline then would work fully because like to grant them a franchise and get them there.
It's happened so fast, right?
Yeah, you'd have to pretty much be announcing expansion at least within the next 2 years. If they don't announce in the next 2 years, LeBron's gonna have to play like another 6 years.
Yikes.
Not gonna put that away from him, like say he couldn't do that, but
Is
it
Bronny
puts it a
going
little
to play
tough.
with him at one point, or is he?
I think that's still the dream, but I don't think that's a realistic dream at this
The
point.
latest that has come out is from their camp. LeBron wants what's best for Bronny. He wants him if a team like to go to the best spot in the NBA, and if he would love to play with him, but understands that that's not. It's not a half. Like basically, I think he tried to put water on the draft this year, going like, if you think that you are going to draft Bronny this year, do not think that you're going to draft him because I'm going to come then to play with him.
Oh, okay.
You're drafting because you want him.
That's
And
a good dad.
so now they could value because his stock has dropped. Partly like he had the health issues to start this year, and he hasn't had a great campaign since. But teams would probably like if you're another team, you sign him, you trade or you draft him, then you go, LeBron, come play for your son. I think it was like they want to know what the value is. Is Bronny going to go to the draft or not? They need to know what teams think of him, and he needs to go like, I'm not coming. Don't take him.
Yeah.
If you think that means I'm coming, and that's the only way you're going to get him, and that's the only reason you're drafting him to mess with his value.
Is hanging around the NCAA even the worst call for Bronny, though? Play for the Trojans for a couple more years, right?
Do 2 more years.
Yeah.
Even if you're, and then worst case, what LeBron and him could do is have the Lakers draft him in the second round, and he could play a season with Bronny at the Lakers. The Lakers will do that straight up.
Yeah.
If they allowed Kobe to keep playing well past he should have. They gave him all the money. If you try your best for the next couple of years and go like, look, if Bronny even isn't even the full, he would not be picked. We'll pick him. You could play with him for 1 year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then go to Vegas. Have fun, So this is the EST Hangout presented by White Claw, Matt Iwanyk, Marc Majeau from the MCTV Podcast. Monday and Friday, 7 o'clock. You can hear it on Edmonton Sports Talk, iHeartRadio, tune in, EdmontonSportsTalk.com. Joaquin Gage of Two Guys and a Goalie coming up at noon with myself, Matt Cass. So it's the two Matts and a goalie today. That's the way we'll do it. Now I bring up MCTV as well. I do want to talk Dune. Dune's coming out. Perfect. Me and him, you went to see it. When did you go last Thursday?
When it first came out. Yeah, 2 weeks ago went.
That's what it was.
It was Tomahawk night at Brew House. My son and I crushed a couple tomahawks and then went VIP. My son's 18, so
nice.
I'm on the different end of the spectrum than you are. So we go grab a. Well, he doesn't like the beers too much. So
what does he drink? The Seltzers? Or does he not drink?
He doesn't drink.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
VIP.
That was me when I was 18.
Yeah.
Just the seltzers?
I wasn't a drinker.
Oh, right.
I wasn't a
It
drinker.
took a while. VIP theaters are unbelievable, hey? Like the investments we've made in movie theaters, it's like you're sitting at home sometimes, man.
Well, the fact that Windermere, where I go, it doesn't matter. You can still have beers in the normal theater too. So they have their whole liquor license, which is nice, but it is nice to get into the big seats and you have the basically bottle service to your to your seat with the ushers, and they come and they bring you the.
Do they do it mid-movie?
Before.
Oh,
so
okay.
If you want the whole VIP experience, you go in and go sit in your seats because they're deluxe. First of all, you get comfortable. You can sit down with the menu, hang out for a bit. They come get your order. When do you you get it before? Can you bring it before the movie there and drinks and stuff and. It's great. It's such a nice, relaxing. The theater isn't huge. But it's a much more enjoyable experience, especially for a movie like Dune.
I was explaining to a younger coworker how a time not too far in the past, you had to show up 2 hours early to get a good seat at the movie theater, and you'd sit in the uncomfortable chair, and you just have to wait. And if you had to save a chair for a buddy, it was pure hell. But the fact that you could just buy a ticket 3 weeks in advance now if you really want, and you can cruise in right when the movie starts, it is spectacular. And for a movie that's bordering 3 hours, you want to be as comfortable as you possibly can.
I will throw this out there. If you're looking for a movie theater where you don't have to, you got a good shot at getting a good seat at any given moment, Landmark Cinema, City Center.
City Center, baby.
No
Oh,
one ever is
yeah.
there. I'm still always stunned that it's open. I don't know. I go and there's not a lot of people.
Yeah.
But I live right across the street, and I could go and there'll be times where there's like 3 of us in the theater, and it is the best. I'm trying to get to a movie that I like where I'm also the only one in the theater. I was close one time. I was really close. It was about to start. A couple people walked in. I was like, damn, I almost had the theater to myself.
I had that once, and it was the greatest experience ever. It was like, I felt like, you know the movie Cape Fear, where he's just watching the movie by himself, laughing, trying to...
Yeah.
It was like that by myself. It was a wonderful...
Cigar.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Landmark Cinema. I don't want to say it too much because I don't want a bunch of people going there, but it is a great spot to watch a film. If you're not worried about, like, if you don't want to be around people and you coming in late and not worried about a ticket, you didn't pre-book. Landmark Cinema, City Center.
Quick story before we chat about Dune. I went to see a movie. This was a couple months ago. It was a matinee. I walk in, I'm getting my popcorn. The guy in front of me shows up. He looks really disheveled, and he says, "Hey, I need 30 tickets to see the Super Mario movie." And the girl goes, "Yeah, okay. Which one?" He's like, "The one that started 15 minutes ago." And then I see a bus load of about 8-year-olds get off behind him. So it was clearly a school trip out. They were running late. But he bought 30 tickets for a movie that started 20 minutes ago. And I was just thinking about the poor souls in that theater getting set to enjoy a movie. And then all of a sudden...
But did he time it perfect? Because of previews and stuff, they say that it starts at 7, let's say, but it really doesn't start till like 7:15 or whatever. So did he actually end up timing that perfectly, where they skipped all the previews? He sits down and it starts.
Playing chess, we're all playing checkers.
Maybe.
But I felt bad for everyone in that theater when the parade of children walked in, and
you have to try to wrangle them to be like, sit here, sit there, but they're all talking.
And you have to pick your seats too, right? At those theaters, you can't. So he's like, "Give me 30." So hopefully it worked out for that school group.
The biggest flex. Sorry, one more story, and that's it. The biggest flex I've ever seen in a movie theater. I was coaching hockey school at UBC Thunderbird in the summertime back in the day, and we had a couple kids up from California, and he had like a Charleston Chiefs jersey and a Youngblood jersey and I go, "Where are you getting all these jerseys?" "Oh, my dad works in the movies." And then so one day of the week we go to a movie, and he, like, this little kid goes, "Oh, I'll just get my dad to take care of it." And we're like, what who is this kid? And so we get a call to the office. "Yeah, it's taken care of. Just go to this theater." And we're like, what is going on here? So we get to the theater. There's people waiting for us with popcorn, drinks, the whole thing, and usher us in. And that back then there was no reserving seats, right? It was general admission. There was a roped off section of the whole place where we went and sat. This kid was a big, huge executive at Paramount or something like that phoned the movie theater from California to Vancouver saying, "My son's coming to a movie with like 26 people, have it prepared." And I was like, this is the most amazing thing ever.
What movie was it? Do you remember?
Oh, shoot. What was it? I have to think.
Wow.
But it was a big flex. And he sent like all the jerseys. Everyone had Charleston Chiefs. He got all the... I didn't get one. I was low. I wasn't important, but pretty cool.
Jeez. UBC Thunderbirds, Canada West champions, I believe, in hockey this year. Yep. Good season for them. Sven Butenshaw, head coach.
Oh, really?
Former Edmonton Oiler.
Great guy.
Also won football, but...
No.
Yeah, it was a tough Dune?
What did you guys make of Dune 2?
I'll let the expert go first.
Oh, man, this was... Again, talking about movies, I went to the first Dune movie on Granville Street, read the book as a little kid.
This is the original.
The original.
From, like, not Dune, Timothy Chalamet.
No.
From
This
a
is
couple years ago.
David
This
Lynch,
is David Lynch, old movie that he couldn't even watch because he was so disappointed with it. I've resonated with this film for so long, and probably it was because I was a Star Wars fan a little bit and not realizing the parallels of and the comparisons of it all. But from the Kwisatz Haderach to the growth of Paul Atreides, the Harkonnens, what they did in this movie, how they just getting a little glimpse into the Bene Gesserits, unbelievable job. Like we were talking before, this is one of those movies where I'll probably buy them or have the physical copy just because it's. I mean, I've been a fan for so long, to the point I was such a fan that I didn't watch the new ones, the Chalamet ones, until it was on Netflix because I thought it was a betrayal to the old Lynch movie. And I finally gave in one night, and I must have watched it 20 times since. and it was a sad day because I think they pulled it from Netflix
They did, yeah.
in November because they were even earlier because they knew that 2 was coming out. But I loved it because where 1 ends, 2 begins. And the brilliant storytelling, how it mirrors the book, and you know how you see in your mind's eye how you see movies. Yeah. That's how I saw it. It was unbelievable, and one of the greatest cinema scenes is the worm riding.
Oh, it was. I echo everything Gager said. When you sit down, you're just kind of blown away at the first one. Like, have you seen the first one?
Yeah.
First one just kind of ends. Like, they kind of just pull the rug out from under you. Like, they're saying, okay, let's go. And then credits hit. This one really picks up right after.
And I just quickly on 1, it was, I think at the time, people didn't know, because they didn't know if Dune 2 was going to happen.
No.
And there was a lot of anger of like, this is how you're ending this movie.
Yeah.
But if you now watch 1 very close to 2, it works perfect.
Absolutely. They allowed the filmmaker time and space, which is really important to tell a story that in depth. Like, that book is not a light read.
No.
Man. Like, it's heavy stuff and it's thick and it's dense. So that's really kind of the only way to tell a story like that. Like, I've only seen the 80s one once, but to tell that whole story in 2.5 hours is really tricky.
Well,
Potentially a little tricky.
I remember, like, it was on Netflix. I go, oh, finally, I'll watch this thing. And of course, I'm reverting back to a kid watching the original movie, going, oh, this part, oh, cool. And then it ended, and that it went like this. I go, no, you've got so much more to do.
Yeah.
And then I like immediately, when is Dune 2 coming out? And then they were doing it. So I was so happy that I didn't get left hanging like that. But man, it's from the Baron and how they portray like Sting was as Fade, just it's night and day.
Oh yeah,
the how they put, because it's exactly like the book. And man, I loved it. Even yesterday, I threw it on because I had it taped on my PVR. And my son, who this is hilarious because I'm rereading the first book. He's reading it, and which is odd for him to watch the movie and then read the book afterwards.
I stand by. That's the best way to do it if you can.
And then he goes, Dad, we can get the rest of the series on Amazon for $60. And I go, great. And he goes, okay, it's ordered. You owe me 30. So we're gonna reread the rest of the books.
I just bought them last week. Chapters 2 for $20. You could get Dune and Dune Messiah, which is the 2 books for $20.
And that's the next one coming. The next movie's coming is Dune Messiah,
and that's been confirmed, I think.
I think so.
Well, and I think now with the success of these two, you have to do it.
They have to.
The reason I say also book after movie, if you can again, because sometimes you read a book and then the movie comes out. I do find that you read a book, you think it's great, you watch the movie and you walk away going, "That was a great movie, but the book was better. But the book was better." If you watch a movie first, you go, "That was great." Then when you read the book, you go, "This was better." And both times you walk away with it. There's no but. This was lower, so I always stand by. If you have the chance, read second. The visuals were just amazing, and they crushed it. Like I was telling you before, they had a smaller budget than some like Marvel movies and things like that, and it's not a small budget, 191 million, but they absolutely crushed that budget with visuals.
Yeah, I'm surprised that's not the most expensive movie ever made. Dune Part 2 has a higher budget than Joker Part 2, which is coming out later this year, and I don't understand how that's a thing. Like Dune looks spectacular. You can tell they're not on a soundstage in Atlanta filming this stuff, right? They're really in the desert, and that sand riding scene, Denis Villeneuve, the director, knew exactly where. Absolutely.
Like, great filmmakers Canadian. We're not talking about this enough.
Like he knew exactly where to put the camera. He knew exactly when to go the close-ups on Chalamet's face. The performances to have Florence Pugh and Christopher Walken on screen for 4 minutes combined, but they absolutely crush it. You mentioned the Austin Butler performance.
He was great.
Unbelievable. That's the character I was thinking about the most after Dune Part 2, is how terrifying he was as a villain, but how like Butler just portrayed him, and I wasn't thinking, hey, that's Elvis on screen. Like he really got into the role. unbelievable. The 2.5, 3 hours absolutely flew by in the theater.
Rebecca Ferguson,
Yeah.
as Lady Jessica, she
I
crushed
love
that.
her.
Yeah.
And watching her evolve in that second,
Oh yeah,
she was brilliant. And then they're still not even talking about Josh Brolin, and I always get he was No Country for Old Men. What's his Javier
Bardem. He was
yeah.
awesome.
They're great.
Zendaya was unbelievable. Zendaya is awesome in everything
I'm a big
she does.
Zendaya fan.
Yeah.
Yeah, the cast is ridiculous. The cool thing is they didn't really touch on the time traveler guys, the people that make it possible.
Guild or something like that?
Yeah, the time guild or with the.
I got to watch those movies twice. That's how dense they are.
So that's a whole nother thing because that's what the Kwisatz Haderach can do now. You know, so there's so much more that's going to come from
It's
this.
a long time away. Does this film have shots at Oscars?
I hope so.
Is it Best Picture or is it more like obviously visual, like those awards,
Yeah.
sound? Because Hans Zimmer is just brilliant.
Probably.
Great soundtrack.
All of those, yeah, but I do think the Academy has to acknowledge popular movies. And I know that sounds strange sometimes, but you do have to sometimes nominate movies that
Isn't that why they went to 10 films?
It was, but then they kind of went down to 5 for a stretch and then went back up to 10. Like it's bizarre. You can nominate popular movies, and yes, it's popular, but it's also really well shot.
Well, that's what I'm wondering. Like, is
Yeah.
this actually like a quality movie enough that
I
like
think
we're
so.
walking away? It's great, mainstream, great,
Lord of the Rings got
But is
nominated,
it-
right? Down
and
down
that
the
was
run.
amazing.
Yeah,
I
so
do
like
miss those are great movies.
I hope so. It came out really early, was released really early in the year, so I hope people don't forget about it. But a thing about a movie that big is Warner Brothers is not going to let us forget about
Yeah.
that movie. It wouldn't shock me if they re-release it in theaters in November to get it over some milestone. Like, how many times has Avatar been put back in theaters to reclaim that #1 spot, right? So I hope so. It seems like a movie that everyone enjoys. Everyone seems to enjoy the cast, the director, the writer. I don't think there's anything wrong with acknowledging a sequel getting some hardware.
It's like Lord of the Rings still holds up.
Yeah.
20 years later,
Oh,
it's
gosh,
brilliant.
yeah.
Dune, you could watch. This is going to hold up so well. Like Jurassic Park holds up.
Unbelievable. Yeah.
Dune is these two movies we'll be able to watch 20, 30 years from now, and they will still hold up so well.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't wait to have access to both of them to just go back to back one night. You know,
Give me a flash drive. So, give me a flash drive, dude. I got one already.
Yeah.
So
No,
I could get you two soon.
It's
It's all cams though right now.
it's funny, and even the backlash of the popcorn.
Oh yeah.
That's it looks like one of those things you wash your dog's paws with.
Oh,
So that's where you're gonna go with it.
that's-
Thanks for keeping it PG on this one.
You're welcome.
My favorite is watching all the cast members having to talk about that.
Yeah.
Throughout their promos and all the promotional tours, and that keeps being brought up to them, and they're having to discuss that and the jokes coming from that.
Those things are going for like $140 on eBay right now. Like it's bananas.
It's hilarious.
Would you display that? Like,
Yeah,
So-
I
so-
want to
think if
get
you
one.
had-
I
would say if you like some people have man caves, like if you had a movie cave type
Yeah.
thing that was
Oh,
designed,
yeah.
you would want that to be shown.
Yeah, and
Exactly.
I haven't gone to a Comic-Con, I don't think, since the pandemic, but you see a lot of stuff at those conventions. Man, if you could get the Dune popcorn bucket signed by Timothée Chalamet or by
Zendaya.
anyone,
Anyone.
if they would sign it, would be the first thing. But yeah, I that'd be pretty cool.
Okay, I got to ask you, and I asked the Gage of this a little bit earlier. You know I'm not a Star Wars guy. I've never really watched it. I'm hearing this is Star Wars is a bit of a ripoff of Dune. Do you see that?
Yeah, I think George
Yeah?
Lucas has kind of admitted.
Has he?
Yeah, he said like he was inspired by Dune was, I think, 63?
65.
Yeah, 65 when the book came out. So yeah, there are certainly some... maybe ripoff's a strong word, but yeah, paying homage, I think, would be the word they use. Yeah, there's certainly elements of...
How is he not? He read the book.
Of course, yeah.
Star Wars came out. He couldn't not be influenced by doing something science fiction. Reading Dune prior, it's going to affect the way you visualize things. And man, what a movie! Even if for the non-sci-fi people, I think you would still enjoy this because it's it's a story of and it's going to get into lots of different things, but the arc of the Atreides, the
Timothée
whole
Chalamet's
house,
character.
and just it's so much fun. I mean, it was funny because my son was actually last night, should we just go watch it again? And I'm like, yeah, we probably should.
And Dennis
Villeneuve?
He did talk. I think he was saying to you he wanted to create this that you don't have to watch any other movie. If you watch two, you're not missing anything. It can be just self-contained.
It helps, but
and
you don't
I
have to.
really like, as I think back to that movie, I'm like, yeah, that actually, like, I could just go sit down and watch Dune 2 and like it'd be great.
You could have came out with Dune 2 and then had the prequel.
Yeah, you could have done that, and it still would have worked
It still
perfectly,
would've
and you
worked.
wouldn't have missed anything.
Yeah.
It was really well done.
I'll still always ride for Marvel movies, but sometimes it does feel like homework watching some of these Marvel projects. Like you have to watch X, Y, and Z to enjoy this properly. Whereas it's just kind of a nice, even though Dune is still, again, written based off a book, off IP, you can just jump in and you'll still be entertained. And it's a nice throwback to, oh yeah, that's what movies kind of used to be like. You didn't need to do homework before and after to enjoy a movie. Like, have you guys seen the movie The Holdovers?
No, but I haven't. I need to watch it. I was going to watch it this weekend.
Really good, and it's again just it's a movie that exists. You don't need to watch anything before or after. It feels like a movie they would have made in 1989. Like just really enjoyable. So it's
I love Paul Giamatti.
Yeah,
Big
he's
Paul
fantastic
Giamatti fan.
in it.
He's the only reason he's one of him and Damon Lewis are the reason I watched Billions.
Billions.
They're the only reason I stuck through it till the end because it got bad. But
did
I
it?
stuck through those because those two are just brilliant. They're just great actors.
Giamatti's fantastic in The
is he?
Holdovers. Yeah, it's a really good flick.
Do you remember? Did he win Golden Globe? Emmy? Do you remember what it was?
He won Golden Globe.
There it was. The
Okay.
Golden Globe for him because you were asking me earlier.
I always liked him in Private Parts.
Yep.
Pig vomit.
He was he was the program director,
Yeah,
right? Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
It's right. He was in the Truman Show.
Truman, yeah.
Really is one of those small characters, but in the production.
He's in a fantastic episode of 30 Rock as well. He
Is
plays an editor at NBC who's a diehard Islanders fan. It's like, and he dives into the character. He's fantastic.
He was in Idols of March, which was like actually really a great cast. When you Marissa Tomei, George Clooney, that was Ryan Gosling, him, Philip Seymour Hoffman, who's like one of my favorite actors of all time. It was loaded with people.
Did you know Giamatti's dad also banned Pete Rose from baseball?
What?
He was a former executive with Major League Baseball.
No way.
And he was the one that banned Pete Rose.
And I don't think Giamatti's a sports guy. I
don't think so.
I think he's talked about how he doesn't care about sports.
Yeah.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
He's also underused in Spider-Man as the
The
Rhino.
Rhino, yep. He gets about 4 seconds of screen
Yeah.
time in that one as well, too.
Boys, this was a fun hangout. We got through almost. We didn't get to the Yager bobbleheads being
Yeah.
stolen.
Oh, yes.
We didn't get to that one. But thanks for stopping by. Joaquin Gage, you and I will be back with Two Guys and a Goalie and Cass coming up at noon. MCTV.
Yeah.
Dusty was asking when's the next one coming. When's the plan for
We'll be
MCTV?
back next week. There's a lot of stuff ramping up, so it's a bit of a downtime, and if there's nothing to talk about, there's nothing to talk about. But we were doing some review theaters where we talk about old movies and stuff. Those will be coming back, and I think we'll be back. I actually just got a text from Corey while I've been here, so we'll be back next week. Quickly, I know you're a Walking Dead fan. I've been watching The Walking Dead.
Yes.
I'm in the middle of season 3. The facial hair situation should be way more out of control than it is on The Walking Dead. Like, they should all be having like ZZ Top beards. And I know it gets there eventually, but
That's a great point. And I stopped watching. When did I stop? The guy, they slit his
the
throat.
baseball bat, Herschel.
No,
the
I went
guy who
past that one.
The guy who looks like Steve Tambolini.
I don't remember. Yes.
Okay,
I think past.
they just got to the prison where I'm watching. My point
Okay,
is
yeah.
their teeth are too
No,
white
I'm just trying
and
to
their
think.
facial hair is.
But you would find some shaving stuff.
But would you care though?
I would want to keep it trimmed because I wouldn't want any of it at all because I don't want to like somebody trying to grab me by that. Like I wouldn't want long hair.
It's funny.
That's a good point.
It's funny when you watch
Jeez.
a show like that
was trying to think.
in close succession. You see the jump in budget from season 2 to
Oh,
season
yeah.
3 as well. All their teeth get again magically better after
I
they
will
got
say
the AMC cash.
Rick's beard is too clean.
Yeah,
It's too
Manicured.
yeah.
Yeah.
He's not
for
doing that.
sure.
I'm enjoying it, and I know it falls off a cliff eventually. I just
Did
needed
you
a
ever
show.
finish it?
No, I never did. So I got
And I'm
to.
wondering if I want to.
It's just nice to have something on in the background that you don't have to pay super close
It's
attention
good.
to. It's
Yeah.
I'm
Did you
enjoying
finish it?
Fine. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You watched the whole thing.
And then, like, I understand why AMC ran it into the ground because it, like, with all the spin-offs and
Why
everything. like, I
wouldn't
get,
you?
Yeah, of
Well,
course.
the
I
issue
get
they
it.
had though was after season 1, they got rid of one of the showrunners or the main guys. They got into a fight with him. He walked away for creative differences. I think was it Robert Kirkman? Or whatever?
That's the creator of the comic, Frank Darabont. Is
that
guy
was the
who walked
one.
away, Yeah,
And
really?
and that's when like season 1 was
Brilliant.
brilliant.
unbelievable.
It was some of the like that first episode ever. Like it was really talked about.
The zombies were hot.
They were huge, and that came out right around
It
Halloween
was only
too, I
6
think, or something.
episodes, and I remember because I was on episode like 4, and my wife was doing something in the other room while I was watching, and it was like, it was, what are you watching? And she watched 2 minutes. It was, well, how many of these are there? And I had to go, I had to go back to 1, and I was thoroughly enjoyed like watching it all again. But yeah, and then the next season came out right away, and we were just all in.
You brought up a great question there, though. Right at the end, though.
Yeah, I know. Well,
it's
save
a
it for
great
next time.
conversation.
We'll save it for next time.
Like, zombies and how did you handle your beard and all of that stuff?
Tortured fan bases and facial hair. That's what I bring to the hangout.
Go to EdmontonSportsTalk.com. If you go into shows, scroll down, Friends of EST, MCTV. Links to all their stuff is right there to follow along with Marc Majeau and Corey Graham. Gents, thanks for coming by.
Always a pleasure.
Thank you to the listener for tuning in to the EST Hangout. Coming up next, it is The Lock Shop with Huss and Jake from CoolBet. They will have your next keyword to qualify for the EST Flyaway. On behalf of Gage or Majeau, I'm Matt. Thanks for tuning in to the Hangout. Lock Shop starting in just a few minutes right here on Edmonton Sports Talk. For those listening on iHeartRadio, tune in, EdmontonSportsTalk.com, as well as those watching on YouTube.
Look at this. Let's go. There you go, right in front of the camera.
First-time guest, long-time listener, fan of the original draft commissioner.
Welcome to the EST Hangout presented by White Claw Hard Seltzer. The difference is clear. Matt Iwanyk, Tom Zola with here. Joining us today